Yes, welcome back to DR Sports for the very, very first Saturday football show of the season.
Hey,
yes.
we back,
Another
baby.
10 months of madness will be ensuing shortly, and we've got it all covered for you here on DR Sports. Myself, AGT, my co-host, as always, Fuad. We've got Nick, and we've also got Tom in the studio.
Hey,
great to have you back, boys.
Vamos.
Hey,
Great to be here.
First one of the season, 38 shows of the Saturday Football Show you've got to look forward to, and this is the first one, so make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you comment with your thoughts on the scores as they go in live, and of course subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're also watching the last 20 minutes of the Arsenal-Nottingham Forest game. The Gunners 2-0 up. Nick, just quickly, how impressive have the boys been, and has there been any negative so far in the first 70 minutes of the season?
I guess the negative now is that we've just started to get into a bit of a lull in intensity. We started to try too many flicks and tricks and classic, a little bit of Arsenal arrogance, and we've moved away from the system. And I guess the main negative is Jurriën Timber coming off injured. Doesn't look to be a serious one, a little muscle injury there, probably a bit of a precaution, but that's a worry because he's been outstanding so far for the first 45-50 minutes, and he was outstanding in the Community Shield game against City as well. So, but yeah, overall it's good. Can't complain. 2-0 home in front of the home ground. Can't complain at all.
Great start. Unbelievable goal from Saga. Eddie gets off to a great start as well. You mentioned Timber goes off injured. Fuad, no hangover from the Community Shield game. Straight back to business. However, 20 minutes to go. Forest do have a corner here. If there's any trouble that has caused off the back of it, and Arsenal, it could be a shaky last 15-20.
Listen, Arsenal have got this game in their hands, 2-0. I think opening day of the season, previous years as well, aside from last year, if I'm not mistaken, they've always it's always been a little bit sketchy. I remember Villa, there was a banana peel a few years ago, Brentford when they got promoted. So Arsenal will want to, in similar fashion, like last season, get off to a strong start as possible, because I think you've seen what they've done over the summer. They saw the challenge last year. They're kind of hoping this year, obviously they'll have learnt from it and build on from that. But a few kind of positives to take away. I think if you keep a clean sheet, get a couple of goals in your opening game, only kind of disappointment I think they'll be going away from this is Timber getting injured on his debut, because he's looked like one of the, I'll be honest with you, signings of the summer, even though it's only been like a game and a half or whatever.
Yeah.
I've watched him a lot kind of before he came in. I said he's going to be the one that I think of all the signings is really going to stand. I think Rice as well today a lot better than in the Community Shield. I think Community Shield, it was kind of like steady Eddie. I'm here, steady Eddie, nothing too crazy. But today he's really showing. Listen, I'm almost like two men in that midfield. So listen,
and it was a bit of a different team for Arsenal as well. Partey at right back, Ben White moves into the middle, Havertz in midfield, Eddie up front. Looks like they are going to do the job though.
I'm surprised by how early Arteta's being tactically flexible. I think the Partey at right back going to back three at times as well. We saw Havertz playing in the 9 up front. So I think this is the one thing with this Arsenal season, with the summer signings they've made, it does allow them to play a multitude of systems and different kind of patterns, if you like, whether it's a front two, a front four, if you like, if they need to in certain games. But it definitely gives them options, man.
Bit risky from Ramsdale there. Brennan Johnson closing it down.
He's taking one in the ribs though.
It's a nice kit for Forest.
Matt Turner had Matt Turner's now obviously ex-Arsenal keeper playing for Forest, and he had one against Eddie Nketiah, closed him down in similar fashion. It went wide, and I think Johnson's taken that right in the.
Hold on, are we seeing a double agent action going on here?
Well, if you see Saka's
goal
now, that Saka goal was unstoppable. No keeper in the world.
I don't think anyone saves it.
That was a good shot. I didn't even remember that. Turner's in goal.
Oh, here he comes. Here comes one of our. Here comes one of the shouts for our player of the season.
Trossard is on. Eddie Nketiah goes off after scoring the first goal. By the way, so many topics that we're going to get through today. The new Premier League rules, a couple more predictions. Going to be speaking about our favourite opening day moments as well. So if you've got any ideas, do send them in. Also, the transfer saga continues. We're going to be talking about what is the biggest transfer sagas, battles in the Premier League history, and of course talking about Harry Kane finally going to Bayern Munich today, where he could win his first ever trophy tonight in the German Super Cup against RB Leipzig. Pay attention to that later on in the show. We've also got team news for you. We might as well get into that now. Some big games at 3 o'clock straight after this one, and we've got them all covered for you. Thank you for your super chat, Tina. We'll get to that in a minute.
Hey,
let's get some team news, shall we?
Well, indeed. Where
do you want to start?
We'll start on the south coast. We'll start with Bournemouth versus West Ham United. Andoni Iraola's first game as manager. They play 4-2-3-1, so they've got Neto in goal. They've got Milos Kerkez left back, Senesi and Zabani Centre-backs, we've got Max Aarons at right-back. I think that was announced very recently, from memory.
Yeah.
Joe Rothwell and Philip Billing is a double pivot. Then David Brooks, Ryan Christie, Jaden Anthony, and with Dom Solanke up top. So quite an attacking for them. West Ham go with Areola in goal, which perhaps surprising slightly. Emerson, Aguerd, Zuma and Kufal in the back four. Soucek and the Man City target Paqueta
starts for West Ham.
He starts today. Then they've got Jared Bowen, Pablo Fornals and Said Benrahma with Mikhail Antonio up top.
Who was an injury doubt coming into this. They were going to say that.
They got?
Muyamba, apparently. Won the kid in the West Ham Youth Academy. And, of course, the West Ham Academy is one of the best ones in the Premier League, I would say. But he's one that they're saying is really exciting. And I think they might give him the opportunity to step up this season, which is why they've kind of let Scamacca go. So, I don't know. I was hoping to see that. But I think in that game, I've got Bournemouth, to be fair, to win comfortably as well. I think I've got Bournemouth as my surprise this season.
You do. I think you've been back in them.
West Ham, in a good way.
Hamari Traore they've signed. I think Dango Ouattara they brought in January. Senezi's been good. Neto's a solid goalkeeper. I think Solanke, if he can carry on the kind of form he had last year. Milos Kerkez, anyone who plays FM, he's a wonder kid. Bro, I just think they have a team where it's not a lot of names that are familiar, but there's a lot of talent there. So I think they'll kind of go under the radar and possibly finish 10th to 12th,
a top coach as well.
Yes. I've heard a lot about. I don't know too much about him. I remember him from his playing days at Bilbao, where he was a right back. Yeah. But as a coach, I don't know too much about him. But I've read a lot. And Gary O'Neill,
Declan Rice off the post.
Came from Vallecano's
debut
in Spain.
But Iraola, obviously, Gary O'Neill, he kept them up last year and good second half of the season as well. So it was surprising seeing him get sacked. So you're kind of curious to see, this is the man they brought in. What can he kind of do?
Yeah. They must have been convinced he was an upgrade because, Gary O'Neill did his job, came in really their lowest ever 9-0 defeat.
Yeah.
Kept them up. And, I was talking to some Bournemouth fans and they were all like, to be honest, he had to go.
Really?
They were actually fairly supportive of what the club did. So it's an interesting one because I think everyone else...
how outsiders looking in and from different the opinions. Inside, the different perspectives you can have.
Exactly. Arsenal still pressing for another goal. Tina asks who will be the first manager to get sacked, and will Arsenal since that have the depth in the Champions League? Welcome back, she says. Who will be the first manager to get sacked, boys?
Ooh, that's a good question. Have a look at the table. Actually,
I wish Lopetegui was still in a job because
that would have been a good shout, an easy shout.
And I would have said Moyes.
Well, who are the options?
Do you know who I'm gonna go? Could be there. You know who I'm gonna go? Yeah, it might be a lazy and easy one, but I think Heckingbottom at Sheffield United.
Yep,
I think it's almost one of those, the easiest one on the chopping board, because Sheffield United situation, I don't know if anybody knows about it. There's a great video on YouTube that I've seen. Financially, they're so done out, basically.
Can't pay the bills.
Yeah.
Can't heat
selling off their best players. Can't sign them to anybody to long-term deals, essentially. I don't think there's anybody who's part of the first team that's on more than 1 year deal.
But everyone problems getting their wages paid towards the end of last season, some of the players.
Exactly. So the fact that they've got promotion is beyond their wildest dream. I'm expecting almost a Derby-type season from them, but I think he's going to be...
Should we go some more team news?
Yeah, what have we got next?
We can go just slightly to the east to Brighton. They face Luton today at the Amex. They start with Jason Steele in goal, dependable keeper, De Zerbi's pet, I suppose. Then we've got Estupinian, Van Heck, Lewis Dunk and Pascal Gross as the back line. Saying that it's a 4-4-2, I'm not sure it is though. You've got Mitoma, Dahoud, James Milner and Solly March as the
Milner, first time he's playing in the Premier League that isn't for Liverpool in 8 years.
Yeah, and then Danny Welbeck and Joao Pedro up front.
Exciting.
So I think it'll be more of a 4-2-3-1, but it's a fun shape anyway. And then Luton are playing 3-5-2. They've got Kaminski in goal, Mads Anderson, Tom Lockyer and Amari Bell. Giles and Kabore as wing-backs. I think Giles was at Middlesbrough last year, one of the best players in the Championship. You've got Marvellous Nakamba, Tahith Chong and Ruddock in the midfield, and then Carlton Morris and Elijah Adebayo up front.
Looking forward to seeing how Luton get on. By the way, we should mention as well, the Lionesses did win today 2-1. They're in the semi-finals of the Women's World Cup. out in Australia and New Zealand, so congratulations to them. Also, we do have coverage of the Anthony Joshua fight tonight, the step-in fighter. Helios, is that
Robert Hellenius?
Hellenius.
Yeah.
We'll see
I'm
if
covering
AJ,
that as well.
are you here for that?
Nice.
Love to see it. So Nick will be here, as well as the boxing lads on DR Sports, so make sure you watch that as well. Everton play Fulham today, don't they?
Yes.
How do they line up
for that
home
now?
team?
Yes, you read my mind, Mr. AGT.
Thank you.
So Everton line up in a little bit of a 4-3-3. They've got Pickford, Ashley Young looking like a left back at the moment, Michael Keane, Tarkowski and Patterson. Midfield of Doucouré, Idrissa Gueye, Amadou Onana. Then Iwobi, James Garner on the wing and Neil Maupay up top. And we'll go to Fulham, Bernd Leno, Anthony Robinson, Tim Ree, Missa Diop, Kenny Tete, Lukic and Reed in the pivot, then Willian, Harry Wilson, Tom Kearney with Raul Jimenez.
I'm surprised there to see Fulham with Mitrovic on bench. Maybe obviously pre-season he wasn't fully involved with the Saudi move lingering. But then also Everton not starting Danjuma. I was hoping, obviously, you finally got your man. We snatched him away from you last time. You've given him the number 10. He wasn't getting minutes at Spurs last. I was hoping, this is going to be the...
Andre Gomes still on the bench as well.
Listen, almost a forgotten man, wasn't he, since that Son Heung-min leg break.
Horrendous that was.
Sheffield
what other
United.
3 o'clock games have we got?
So we've got Sheffield United v Crystal Palace. Sheffield United playing in their traditional 3-5-2. Fodringham, Jack Robinson, John Egan and Ahmedodzic in the back 3. Ahmedodzic, I think one of the best players, again, Championship last season. George Baldock, Max Lowe as wing-backs. Chris Basham, Ollie Norwood and Ben Osborne in the midfield. And then Benny Traore and William Ozula up top.
Outside of the front two, it literally looks like the same team that went down.
The Chris Wilder team,
It's crazy.
Jack Robinson, former Liverpool as well.
John Egan was captain last time.
Because all the players that they had that got them up, they've all gone. So it is literally back to that team that went down 2 years ago. But
Jai was like the crown jewel in that as well.
So Crystal Palace, they line up 4-2-3-1. They've got Sam Johnston in goal, Tyrek Mitchell, Joachim Anderson, Mark Gui and Joel Ward, Jefferson Lerma and Czech Doucouré in the pivot. Apologies, Declan Rice looking
could have had 2.
He desperately wants a goal. He's having every chance he gets. You've missed a couple in the first half, but if he gets a bit of anything on the edge of the 18-yard box, he's just trying to smash it as hard as he can. He desperately wants a goal. That's what we love. We love to see it.
He's sniping
when the
that one a
ball's
bit.
bouncing to you like that as well, you could just see your name in lights.
Yeah,
it's one of those.
Rice! And then a very familiar front 4 for Crystal Palace. Jeffrey Schlupp, Eberechi Eze, Jordan Ayew and our good friend Odson Edouard. Got Roy Hodgson behind you there, Nick. Of course, I think that's all the 3 o'clock games, actually.
He could be a good shout for manager sacked, and then he'll come back again later. But Hodgson,
he's up there or thereabouts.
He doesn't really get sacked, does he? He just takes the
chance for Forest here.
Oh!
And again, I said,
he's like
Arsenal really.
He's like their record. He was their record goal scorer last season, I think, and it was interesting seeing him on the bench. But he's come on the pitch now, and he's so dangerous. I don't know why he doesn't start. Maybe it's
another
fitness,
former Liverpool player, but that's poor defending from Arsenal, and it leaves them now facing a tricky last 10 minutes. It's crazy how the momentum can change.
Classic.
It was at one end. Oh, that looks like a bit of a foul on Kai Havertz there, maybe a collision that they might go back to.
Great counter.
But it's Awani, look at that strength going through. Yeah, he did. All the way. And he crosses it, and Awani gets in front of Ben White and slots it home. Forest first goal of the season. We will check though to see if there is a collision between the centre-back Worrell and
do you think
Kai
that's
Havertz.
Enough to get further back enough?
I think it's accidental, but with
no, play on, man, play on. Well done, Stevie Coops.
But when it's a head injury, these things can come back. But the goal stands. The goal does stand. 83 minutes in now. Nervy last 10 minutes for Arsenal. Just before,
with the stoppage rules as well, it could be 20 minutes there.
It could be.
It's true.
It could be.
They're coming forward again.
Here we go.
Coming forward again. Cross back to Brennan Johnson.
Can't finish.
Oh, it's Gibbs White. Morgan Gibbs White.
Johnson's off.
Good chance.
Don't get me excited like that, man.
Come on, Elanga. Coming on has really
I'm enjoying
shown
this.
Arsenal a bit of danger here at the back. It's a good effort from Gibbs White, just couldn't keep it down. But now the momentum is fully in the hands of Forest. How do Arsenal react to that? Before we get into the 3 o'clock kickoffs, I thought it's time to talk about the new Premier League rules. Okay, we seem to, see this every single year. There's new rules, there's updates to the new rules that are only a year old. Where does it stop? And again, the beautiful game that we know and love is changing all the time. So it's important to keep abreast of the new changes, okay? And one of them, for example, is the timekeeping, right? As we mentioned, we're probably going to have a lot of 100-minute games this season. Premier League matches will align this season with the latest IFAB guidance on timekeeping. This means timers in stadium will now be left running until the completion of each half, including additional time in both the first and second half. And again, as we know, match events including goals and celebrations, substitutions, injuries and treatment time, penalties and red cards will all be added on at the end of the first and second half. And this was of course added to the Community Shield last week as well. On the denial of an obvious goal scoring opportunity, there will be a slight change where if a player commits a foul in their own penalty area which denies an opponent an obvious goal scoring opportunity, a DOGSO in brackets, that's what it stands for, and leads to a penalty, the referee will now issue a yellow card, not only for when the offence was an attempt to play the ball, but also if it's a challenge for the ball. This gives the referee more scope to interpret such fouls as yellow card offences. Chance for Arsenal.
Oh, Martinelli.
But a red card will be shown in all other circumstances such as holding, pulling, pushing, and there was no possibility to play the ball. So for example, the Cucurella and Romero incident last season where Romero's grabbed Cucurella's hair, that would now be a red card.
No, they had
rightly so. Should have been a red card last season.
But the new rule change would suggest that will be happening.
Was that not a red last season?
I was going to say that was a red last season.
Just like a mistake by the officials.
Yeah.
Like I thought it wasn't anything to do with the rules. I just thought the VAR was just bad.
Specifically said pulling, holding as well. We've seen a bit of that last season, so we'll see how these rules are interpreted.
I'm sorry, but if a referee needs to be told that pulling a player's hair is a red card offence, I reckon these refs probably don't have much initiative, do they?
On the offside ruling as well, the IFAB and FIFA have also clarified the guidelines for determining a deliberate play by a defender in regards to offsides. A deliberate play is when a player has control of the ball and with possibility of A, passing the ball to a teammate, gaining possession or clearing the ball. If a player is considered to be in control of the pass and attempt to gain possession or clearance, this would be a deliberate play and the attacker in an offside position should not be penalised for offside. And an inaccurate or unsuccessful action does not change that the defender deliberately played the ball. What do you make of all this madness, boys?
I was going to say, could you give me that last bit in layman terms?
It's very wordy, isn't it?
Yeah,
we might need to.
And that's what they try and do with these rules. Yeah. They try and, give it all the wordsmith.
This is the Premier League website, so they have to adhere to the official.
The thing is,
lexicon.
if we don't understand it, are the refs going to understand it? That's the problem.
That's the key question.
Their job.
Yeah,
they better.
Every year they don't. Every year they don't. Yeah, every year they don't get it.
In terms of the rules, to be fair, I don't think there's anything that's too outlandish. I think a lot of them we've all kind of known football's kind of headed that way. Oh my God, Saga with a naughty heel there.
Gorgeous play.
We've also got another one to add to it, Fuad. Unsporting behaviour. Players can now avoid receiving a card for unsporting behaviour if the referee is certain that they made a deliberate attempt to win the ball in a tackle. There's also changes to goalkeeper conduct. We know as well that the managers and the assistant managers now have to be separated. They both can't stand in the technical area at the same time. Jason Tyndall absolutely gutted with that one. They've cited the big dog over there. We've still got him in the studio. This is about as close as he's going to get to the action this season.
The second best JT in England.
There you go. And also, of course, the ruling now that means that you can't over-celebrate, and they've not maybe over-celebrate, but they've certainly cited Arteta, if you believe Gary Neville in the overlap, as a reasoning to maybe up the scrutiny on this. What do you make of that as an Arsenal fan?
It's obviously ridiculous.
Some of them, and they're just trying to make football a little bit robotic, I feel like, trying to take the emotion out of it a little bit. I'm not annoyed with the stoppage time one, to be fair. I think that one we saw throughout the World Cup, it provided extra drama. it gives a level of excitement. And I think everybody is making the assumption that, the bigger teams will benefit just because they've got better quality. But I think we saw in the World Cup as an example, listen, high leverage moments, players just, the lights get bright,
I think it's more about, for the bigger clubs, they've got bigger squads.
I get that, but then they've also got a lot to lose. You go for too much forward, and now all of a sudden, Nottingham Forest equalised 2-2 in the 99th minute.
Yeah,
it's not so bad. So for me, I think the fans win. The fans in the stadium win, which everybody gets a bit extra time. I think the only ones really losing out are the players. They'll obviously have that little bit extra exhaustion and be complaining, hey man, why are we playing these extra 10 minutes? It's not good for my legs. But as the fans, as pundits of the game, listen, we love it. I can't complain about that. But some of the other ones, I'm a bit like, come on, let's not completely take the emotion out of the game in terms of players over celebrating, in terms of having multiple people on the touchline. I mean, some of the best memories are when Fergie and is it Jason Kidd doing like on the touchline. It's like, I don't want the game to become too sanitized, shall I say. Like, listen, some things do definitely need touching on, but I think that's to the referees' discretion. Great word.
No, I agree.
I guess the point I'd have on the celebrating rules, what I find strange is if they're adding the injury time and timing how long a celebration takes, why are they now also being strict on excessive celebrations? I would get it if they weren't adding the time on, but it seems funny to both add the
it's got to work against you. If you want to spend 5 minutes celebrating, that's 5 minutes your opponent could score against you. So
there you go. There's also a change to the goalkeeper conduct during penalties. They will no longer be able to engage in mind games during penalty shootouts. They must not behave in a way that unfairly distracts the kicker and fails to show respect for the game of the opponent.
Come on, what are we doing here?
Let me just give you the options here. This includes actions such as delaying the taking of a kick or touching the goalpost. Havertz is in. Great tackle though.
That was a great touch though with the chest. I can't lie, to get that into his path.
Aurier, the former Tottenham defender, does well. It's a round of applause, does he?
Why does Havertz not run? He refuses to run. He's so fast.
That's the quickest he can run.
He's quick. He's way quicker than that.
That's the quickest he can run, bro.
He's way quicker than that.
Bro, are you seeing the man who are chasing him?
That's handball as well.
Welcome to my world the last 3 years, Nick.
Big handball. This includes actions such as delaying the kick or touching the goalpost, crossbar or the net, and this has come into play since Emi Martinez, as he was known for his antics at the World Cup, potentially being the first to fall foul of the new regulations.
I'm sorry, but look, penalties are as difficult and as easy as you make them, in my opinion. I think the goalkeepers are always at like a disadvantage in terms of a penalty. It's a free shot from 12 yards out. Do you know what I mean?
Every professional footballer should be scoring.
You can't come off your line. And I was like, you're kind of closing out the angle, because I think if you look back at a lot of the great penalty shootouts, you'll see keepers jumping up 2 or 3 seconds. Jersey do that?
Huh?
They should be allowed in their 6-yard box.
Halfway
them moments wouldn't have
4
existed.
yards off his line.
This is what I'm saying. Them moments wouldn't have existed. And I just feel like when we start doing this too much sanitization, you're literally almost rewriting football. What are you left with? It's like, all right, goalkeepers on the line, not talking. This ain't a game of FIFA, lads.
But
it's
like
humans.
But
we're
genuinely,
football. We need emotion. Emi Martinez, when he does that wind-up stuff, I love it. There was another Argentinian goalkeeper in the Mexican league, I think, the other day. He was doing miming.
I saw that.
And I was like, yo, this is brilliant. I love it. I was like, but it just gives the game
MLS
character.
Pulled this thing out of his mouth as a man.
And
then saved
I
the
saw
pen.
that. Did you see that? He did that.
It just
the thing is as well, what's going to distract everyone is different. So the bar thing, sometimes the keeper can be at a disadvantage because they're so focused. They're so focused on their antics and not necessarily on making a save. And then some keepers, they're going to clap their gloves together. They're going to sight themselves up, and that can work in a striker's favour.
The ball to the striker, don't they?
All that kind of stuff. All that kind of stuff.
But I guess my
7 minutes added on at the Emirates, by the way.
I apologise. My point here would be as well, why are attackers allowed to play mind games, do stuttering run-ups, put the goalkeepers off?
Yeah.
The goalkeepers aren't allowed to do a thing.
Yeah.
It says a lot that you have a goalkeeper who can skip. Goalkeepers were trying to even it out by playing with the crossbar or scuffing up the spot But now, attackers aren't being banned from doing stuttering run-ups or from...
And that's the annoyance. It's like the attackers, the stutter run-ups, the little jump that they do. None of that is being stopped. But it's like the goalkeepers. That. And listen, I'm all for, make it as easy as possible. But like, come on, let's not spoon-feed it.
Like, are they wanting pens to basically be guaranteed goals? And I'm not saying
that's what
stupid,
it seems like.
But it does feel like everything's been taken away from the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if anyone watched. I was watching today the Australia-France Women's World Cup, and the best part of the game was a 0-0 draw, went to penalties. Was Mackenzie Arnold, the Australian goalkeeper, was hyping everyone up. Coming, making saves. She even called back one off her line. Still won the shootout. But if you're going to stop goalkeepers from having any personality and any kind of style,
I always say, football is in danger of doing so much to give the benefit of the doubt to the attackers all the time and penalising. I always feel like defenders and goalkeepers and every single rule, it always seems like it's the benefit of the attacker. It's the benefit for the entertainment of the game. And I'm like, let's not lose the essence of the game where we're just trying to make this like NBA where it's like a free scoring. Hey, let's just... Like, not every 5-4 game is great.
A hat-trick should really mean something, not just like you see hat-tricks every week.
Like, there's some great 1-0s you see. There's some great 2-1. Like, the scoreline doesn't always dictate a great game for me. If that
same for me with regards to the level of competition. So, like, okay, we know that teams are going to celebrate like crazy. Looking at Arteta, say, when we come top 4 or whatever, we know teams are going to celebrate like crazy when they win the Premier League, win the Champions League, whatever. But so much of football, we don't know what's happening behind the scenes. So if Forest get a 2-2 here and they go and celebrate like crazy, we don't know what that means for them, players' contracts, or for them, or who. We don't know everything that's happening, so we don't know the nature behind what that celebration might mean for them.
There's a lot to be unpacked with the new rules. Michael Antonio, that is, on his podcast said, if we are losing 5-0 and you add 10 minutes, I ain't playing, I'll punch up the ref.
Hey, yo.
It's a bit cruel,
big man, chill.
Careful. Right, a nervy few minutes to see us through to 3 o'clock for Arsenal here. There's two and a half minutes to go, roughly.
Massive.
Ball comes in from Morgan Gibbs-White, and it's a chance. Is it not? It's a strike, and it's over.
Saka's down injured, and ref's not started. Both, even on the last game, Havertz was smashed to the floor. Have some respect. Have some respect.
This is time
This will get added on.
But by the way, this could be the
now
first...
you want the rule.
Have some respect.
Hey?
But this could be the first time I remember.
Not even head injury. Come on.
He's accidentally stepped on him, I think.
He can't get bundled to the floor. Look at that. That's a foul.
Accidentally stepped on him.
Is it a problem? It's soft, but it probably is.
If that's open play and not from a free kick, that's a foul.
It's soft, but it's a foul. I agree.
I understand that.
Saka's not even facing the ball. He's facing the man.
The guy's ushering him out of the club like Haaland in flipping Norway, blood. This is a joke.
But like, this could be the first time I remember where the 3 o'clock games start before the early games even finished.
It's true, yeah.
It's a good shout.
I've never seen that in my life.
I love it.
Yeah.
And again, this game was delayed 30 minutes due to Arsenal introducing their new ticketless system. Again, this has been at Anfield for the last 2 years. It's worked. There was a few teething problems at the start. I know when we played Strasbourg in pre-season 2 years ago, it was a 45-minute delay because of this. But again, whether you like it or not, this is the way that football is going. It's all ticketless. It's on your phone. It's QR codes now. And, gone are the days, really, where you get paper tickets that you can stick up in your bedroom, like I used to do when I used to go games. Is that even
for away fans at Anfield?
I kept them like little memorabilia.
Yeah, no, I've got loads, man.
Yeah.
It's only away games now. I get a little ticket, and I love it.
But if you lose it, that's the other thing. But if you lose your phone, what do you do then? Or if your phone's dead, what do you do?
Have you ever been in that situation when you lost your keys and you lost your phone?
I remember someone singing that.
I won my keys. I won my phone.
There you go. Right, 20 seconds to go, boys, until we finish this game and then go straight into the 3 o'clock kickoffs here on DR Sports. Make sure that you're smashing that like button. I know a lot of you guys, I'm having a little issue with my comments here. They're not fully loading, but I've seen loads of you that are saying that you're really happy that the show is back. You've missed them. So it's great to hear. Thank you so much for the support.
Saturday afternoon.
Make sure you show it by commenting and subscribing to the channel if you have not already. There will be a slight bit of time added on here for that Saka injury as Arsenal look to finish off the game.
Release him.
And here is Saka up against Nico Williams. Cuts it back to Odegaard. Can he shoot? He can. And it's just wide. But surely now, barring any late drama, that will be it now for Arsenal.
Hey, multiple people on the touchline. What happened? Come on.
Arteta's out of his technical box.
Ref.
Get in your box.
What happened? Jason Tyndall's the only one that gets penalised.
I'm not too sure.
See?
Arteta.
How is he the only one that gets
Who's he?
He's the whole reason they put in the new rules in the first place. Respect Albert. Respect
Who's the bloke behind him?
Respect Albert. Respect Albert.
Albert.
Technical boxes are optional for Arteta. It's an absolute joke.
Listen, it's one set of rules for managers, another set of rules for Arteta.
Yeah.
Arsenal players trying to get that whistle blown from Michael Oliver, but it's headed away by Tomiyasu.
Your gaffer was in a punch-up not long ago on the pitch. What are you on about?
Who, Ange?
Will that be it? It's it. There you go. 3 points for Arsenal on the opening day of the season. It was a tough, nervy finish.
In classic
but the Gunners
Arsenal
did
form.
get over the line, and now they respond as if it wasn't early enough to Man City's emphatic 3-0 win last night away at Burnley. Nick, instant reactions to that. Saka and Eddie with the goals. Happy?
Ish. I mean, after we saw City and we go and play in Nottingham Forest, who historically have struggled to score goals. They're not a bad side, but they have struggled to score goals. We wanted to be seeing 3s and 4s against this team, and after 2-0 at half-time, it seemed like that was very much on the cards. And in classical Arsenal form, we've made it much harder than it needed to be, and much, they're taking years off my life with this stress already. And it's the first game of the season. There should have easily been a 3-0 or a 4-0, but listen, we got it over the line. It is what it is, and you've got to be happy, right? Didn't get a clean sheet, but that would all change when David Raya comes in. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that.
Ooh, very confident there from Nick. Arteta saluting the fans. One
is this
win,
allowed?
one game.
Is this loud, Fuad? Is he all right doing this? Yeah? All right. Just checking.
Listen, I'm not celebration police, man. I'm not one of those guys, trust me. Celebrate what you want, man. First day of the season, as I said earlier, it's not always been the prettiest of sights for Arsenal. I think last season they set a tempo. They started off well. Listen, they'll be happy with this. New signings coming in. 2-1, sorry. Awoniyi obviously getting his. But listen, a win in the first day of the season, that's all you can ask for, especially when the City set the tempo the way they did last night. Haaland setting the tempo.
Yeah.
Saka give a little something back today. We'll see.
And for Forest, I just think Elanga was really good. Little shout out to him, because it was when he came on. Awoniyi got the goal, but there was 2 or 3 times where he just bombing down that left-hand side and causing problems. So that could be a really good signing for them. And obviously, some good saves from Matt Turner as well, and most Arsenal fans have no malice towards Matt Turner and wishing the best of luck.
Yeah, he gets a nice embrace there from Arteta at the end of the game. He only left the club a week ago, but he's back at Emirates already, sees his new team lose 2-1 to the Gunners. It's a great start for Arsenal, Tom.
And there's been some very interesting news coming from Crystal Palace. Slightly interesting transfer front, but I announced that Sam Johnston was playing, but we got Vicente Gaeta commenting on the Crystal Palace official team tweet saying, "Where is my name? So how can I play for Palace?" Rumours are that he is refusing to play to obtain a move, but this tweet appears to throw some shade onto that.
I don't know. I think when I saw Roy Hodgson come out and say, he's not interested in playing for the club anymore, he's looking for a move, you can't... It didn't come out of his mouth, but I would have assumed that would have maybe been a time to chirp up and say, I didn't say that, I do want to play. But now when the team news comes out, all of a sudden you want to make it about yourself. Today is match day. Keep quiet, please.
Yeah. And Hodgson's somebody that you sort of trust. He's not somebody that plays these types of games, really. So
it's just a social media, to take to social media.
Unbelievable, isn't it? Right, we are underway in the 3 o'clock kickoffs. It's back. The Saturday football show. Don't go anywhere for the next 2 hours. You need to wake up to that. As it is the opening day of the season, I thought it would be a great time to look back at some of the best games we've seen in the Premier League era so far. Get your thinking hats on, boys. Try and, as I read these ones out, try and come up with your own. Just on the opening day. Some drama that we've experienced. I'm going to throw this one at you. You'll like this one.
I remember it.
2003-04, I remember it very well. The last season of Michael Owen. Liverpool 1, Chelsea 2. Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, Gronkiar, all playing very well on the day.
Scored one of his very few.
Varane scored. Damien Duff, Wayne Bridge were playing. Owen missed a penalty.
We played you the last game of the season before that got us Champions League in the Roman
League,
just for
we played you the first game of the next season. So,
and it was Hasselbank that day that popped up with an 87th minute winner. My favourite one of recent times has to be, remember it? 2016?
Yeah.
Any memory? Arsenal 3, Liverpool 4 on the opening day of the season. Potentially, and again, let us know if you agree or not in the comments, potentially the best we've seen in terms of Mane scoring on his debut. Coutinho, unbelievable free kick. It was an incredible game.
We had another 4-3 on opening day.
The fact that Arsenal wanted him that summer as well, and you lot got him, and then just the first game he went,
that is. I'm just going to say this now. That's potentially the best free kick I've seen in the Premier League. The way the ball floated into the top corner. unbelievable whip on it.
What year was that?
2016, 17.
So that's max. In 2017-18, it was another 4-3, and we beat Leicester City 4-3 on opening day.
That was a good one. And what about this one?
Wow.
Sheffield Wednesday 3, Tottenham Hotspur 4 in 1994-5. You've got Jurgen Klinsmann getting the winner. Nick Barmby, Fuad. Great kit that was as well. The Holston era.
That is one of the heritage.
Very 90s. It's got 90s written all over it. There you go. The Arsenal 3, Liverpool 4-1. Unbelievable goals.
4-1 last year.
One I remember, Chelsea
4-1 last year against
going
Southampton.
17-18 as champions at home to Burnley. We're down to 9 men and 3-0 down at half time.
Yeah.
I was there.
Wow.
I somehow claw it back to 3-2, but that was pretty chastening experience. But that was a pretty cracking game, even if Anthony Taylor, I don't think it was Anthony Taylor, but the referee
He's
much.
He's reffing tomorrow.
He is indeed.
Yep.
4th time in 5 league meetings
for this game.
Chelsea.
Oh my God! For Everton, Doucouré's in. Oh, what a save!
What
a Vern Leno has to score Doucouré, the man that kept Everton up last season on the last day with that strike. It's a great strike from outside the box. He should have and could have scored there for Everton. It was a bit of a mistake from Tim Ream. It's a great save from Leno. Keeps up well. We've also got a goal, and this is what I love about the Saturday Football Show. It's not just the Premier League, it's every bloody league that we can possibly cover. There has been a goal in the Championship at Southampton, a team that does include Lavia on the bench today, I'm hearing. Who scored the goal in that one, Fuad?
Josh Sargent?
Yeah.
Forgot
Correct.
He played for Norwich.
Yeah. That's it. The American.
Taking a stab in the dark there.
Well, it says it there.
Oh yeah, there it is.
So that's 1-0 up. Norwich away from home. 0-0 Preston, Sunderland. All the other Championship games have now kicked off. The only goal though is that Norwich one. But Coventry earlier on in the day beating Middlesbrough 3-0. High-flying Middlesbrough of last season. Coventry in the Championship, a place that they didn't really want to be after losing that playoff final. But they're 3-0 winners at home.
Didn't Southampton get knocked out midweek in the League Cup as well?
4-1 to Gillingham, I believe.
Massive result that for the Guilds, man.
They're finding that playing Norwich in the Championship is very different to playing them in the Premier League.
Middlesbrough 3, Liverpool 3, 96-97. Fabrizio Ravanelli hat-trick on the opening day, shirt over his head. Unbelievable start to the season that was from him.
Mine's 2009. 6-1 Arsenal beating Everton at their ground. Goal scorers Denilson, Thomas Vermaelen, William Gallas, Cesc Fabregas with 2, and Eduardo da Silva, whose obviously career was cut short from that.
Goal.
Yeah. There was a time when we got to Christmas and he was our top goal scorer.
I remember that first season he was crashing goals in. I was like, yo,
Screamers,
and then he got the big injury.
Screamers, left-footed.
There was a fun opening day game a couple of seasons ago, Liverpool Norwich. Wait, was it 5-3 or 5-4?
That wasn't the opening day.
Was it not?
That was a 5-4. That was in January or something like that.
No,
but we beat Norwich 3-0 away a couple of years ago to start. 4-1 at Anfield. I was at that against Norwich as well in 2019.
Definitely a game.
That Ravanelli hat-trick, by the way, only ever player in the Premier League to score a hat-trick on their debut. Right, unbelievable numbers there from Fabrizio. Arsenal 2, Norwich City 4 in 93.
Did Sadio not do that for you guys?
Sorry?
Did Sadio not do that?
Scored 2 that game, I think, against Arsenal.
Yeah, Arsenal were 2-0 up at half time.
And then Arshavin scored a hat-trick against Liverpool, but that might not have been his debut.
Norwich came out and smoked them.
Yeah. Arshavin, that wasn't his debut.
Oh God, no, that was in April. Yeah. So let us know if you've got any more. Aston Villa 3, Man United 1 in 1995. Big result that for the Villains back in the mid-90s.
Can't win anything with kids, that game, wasn't it?
That was the Alan Hansen famous quote.
Can't win anything with kids.
Johnny win anything with kids.
He's in the studio. Where is he?
Absolutely shocking defending. It's absolutely diabolical.
I know.
You never win anything with
kids.
It's
just too easy. It's too easy.
It's not bad, I'll tell you. Don't see him much these days, Alan Hansen. Hope he's all right. I was actually chatting to Michael Dawson last night outside the venue. He was there along with Clinton Morrison.
Oh, was he there?
Having a couple of sherbets last night in the old Sky Sports launch event, which was nice to see.
Does Michael Dawson go down as a Spurs
324 games,
hero?
I believe he's got.
I was having this argument like 5 feet away from him, and I was like, "Yo, you lot got to chill, man. You got to
man, you got to bring him in. You should bring him in.
Stop.
And be like, brother, on a level, you should look him in his eyes. On a level, do you feel like you're a Spurs legend? Like,
probably does, bro.
That's fine. If he does, that's fair.
Like, all these events and everything. Yeah. Captain for a while. Was there when we was in the Champions League. Like, listen, he's one of those players. I think cult favourite, if you like.
He's quite a fair
legend,
pundit as well.
Yeah,
because I've seen him be pundit for a few of the North London derbies, and he's not as biased as certain other people.
Yeah, to be fair, I actually think in media-wise, he's actually really good. But I always thought he was a solid centre-back, if that makes sense. I think at the time he really stepped up when King got injured, in my opinion. So I'll always have a spot for him for that. But I've seen Jan Vertonghen and Toby Alderweireld.
I was going to say he was just before those really good technical centre backs,
100%.
As a solid English.
So once they kind of raised the level, I was like, man, I've seen some. And I always remember when he was around, it was always like, when King is fit though, man, I want to see him type of thing. So listen, he did his job, was a solid player, but I don't know if I'd give him the legend tag.
Rangers also 1-0 up at home to Livingston in the SPL, which has also returned today. So a great start for the boys in blue. Also remembering in 2011, Sergio Aguero's debut for City, 4-0 at home to Swansea. He scored 2 coming off the bench that night. Great start was him, and it carried on, didn't it? So let us know in the comments, what is your favourite ever opening match day? This one was crazy as well. You definitely remember it. Wigan 0, Blackpool 4 in 2010. Newly promoted, they're winning 4-0 away on their first day of the season.
Good old Ian Holloway. I miss those days.
Gary Taylor-Fletcher, Alex Baptiste, and a brace from Marlon Harewood.
Oh yeah,
gave the orange Blackpool team their opening day to cherish there.
Wonder how Ian Holloway would feel about the new technical area manager roles and the press conferences.
What a character, man. I really liked him.
Neil Warnock. I'd love to see Warnock try and stick in his technical area.
He's still at Huddersfield.
He's one of my top 3 managers I would have loved to play for, Neil Warnock.
I agree. We actually had this.
We had this conversation.
Neil Warnock. How we all really like him as a guy. Also, the famous Beckham halfway line goal was on this day, the first opening day of the season in 96-7.
That's outrageous.
Away at Wimbledon.
Scoring from halfway on opening day of the season. That's just
nuts.
Outrageous behaviour.
That's some last day of the season shit.
It's outrageous.
Unbelievable.
West Ham 2, Arsenal 0 in 2016, says ASAP Charles.
Slaven Bilic is back when West Ham were winning every week then too.
That's not opening day though. You said the Liverpool game was opening day, 2016.
I think 2015-16 that might have been there.
Okay, I got you.
But yeah, looking forward to seeing if we get any more of those.
1994, Arsenal won on the opening day 3-0 against Man City.
Not quite now. It sounds good, is it? Back then, bro. No.
That was standard. That
was regular standard procedure, bro.
We'll also have updates if we get them, by the way, for any Caicedo news that we have coming through to us here as well.
Scenes if he goes to neither of them. Imagine he just goes to neither.
What about Frank Lampard's first game? United 4, Chelsea 0.
As manager, yes, that was. And then we were beaten similarly, I think 4-1 by United in his second stint, first game at Old Trafford. So, but actually, that was what I would call, a false. What's the opposite of a false dawn? Like a false dread. Who actually came back and did all right that season. Top 4, cup final, with the transfer ban. But that was a difficult game, man. Hit the bar, I think 3 or 4 times though. So every cloud.
Absolutely. We're hearing that James Milner's playing at right back today for Brighton at the age of 38.
He can do anything. To be fair, how old's Ashley Young now?
Around the same age.
Yeah, and he's playing left back.
Them man who are still winning the bleep test in pre-season, let them. Yeah. Cool. You want to show off your bleep test? Let's see you.
Because we talk a lot about Thiago Silva's longevity, but I think Ashley Young gets a little bit disrespected, but he's still pretty good.
Can't lie to you, I was one of them man that hated the bleep test. So whenever there was that Brer who was showing off, trying to lead the pack, cool. When it comes to crunch time of the season, you better be doing the hard yards. Yeah. I'm screaming if you don't.
In the championship today, a great story from Birmingham, who play Leeds at home in the championship today. I saw a video of new owner Tom Brady going into a pub in Birmingham with the fans this morning.
This new wave of American athletes. Was it last week? I saw Russell Westbrook in the Leeds United Stadium looking confused, like, what's going on?
To Cardiff.
What am I watching here?
JJ Watt.
It's funny to see, but it's interesting as well.
Yeah, JJ Watt last night at the at Turf Moor.
Who does he own?
New investor in Burnley.
That is it. Yeah.
Some YouTubers there very much too.
Brighton, of course, at home to Luton today without Caicedo, no McAllister. A very different look set up today. I saw you tweeting something this morning about maybe Evan Ferguson potentially coming to Tottenham. Do you back that?
Oh, listen, I've been saying that for me. I've said it's almost like a wish. I don't think it's a realistic option. I know he's on bench today, but I think they've got him down as like the future for the next 2 or 3 years at least. But I've said it at Tottenham in terms of profile, what I think he could grow into. I think that's probably the closest we could get to Harry Kane. And if you're talking about breaking records, and this morning I saw a quote about Ange saying, you know, or not Ange, sorry, but the club saying we're willing to break the record to replace Harry Kane. And it's like, at the moment I'm looking out there and I'm like, aside from Kolo Muani, I don't know if there's any realistic option I'd actually really go for. I'd maybe just be 150. I've said I'd have tried Osimhen is even out of our bracket. Vlahovic, I'm sure, is looking at bigger moves than Spurs. So I'm trying to be realistic, and honestly, I don't see it. So I've said I'm happy to go with Son and Richarlison for the 9 for the short term. See if they can kind of get the goals.
It's good for Vlahovic though, because he did go to Juve and it didn't work.
I think Vlahovic,
his ego's maybe.
He wants a Champions League club. That's how I see it. And I think right now, if it's not going to be someone like that, I would try and break the bank for an Evan Ferguson. I'd happily see us 85, 90 million, whatever it is. People might think we're overpaying and think, yo, this is absurd. But I know the next 10 years, I've got it locked in.
Good luck dealing with Tony.
On Harry Kane,
and that's the thing.
We saw his
Mr. Blue, please
play ball. We saw his goodbye message to the Tottenham fans this morning. We've already seen him training in the Bayern Munich get up this morning. It's been an emotional 24 hours. If you're a Tottenham fan, the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. I saw your tweet. Just sum up your feelings for us, because this is a player that has been at the club for so long, easily the best ever player, over 200 goals, leading goal scorer in Europe, went on so many loans to get it right, and you have to give him his round of applause, because to get all of that rejection and still only really be around the first team at Tottenham, he had to wait till he was 2021, but they had him from the age of 13 or something like that. So how do you sum it all up, and again just tell us how you replace him, because I heard Andrew say this morning you don't replace him, mate.
You don't.
It's not like going and get bread and milk for the kids. Like, I gotta think
honestly,
about
it's like people have been saying like, oh, it's like losing a girlfriend. So I said no, this is like losing a family member. I was like, genuinely, it's felt like almost like a mourning, grieving period of past 24 hours, and it's how quick it's happened as well. We've all been knowing it's coming. The bids are there. His contract, he's not going to re-sign, but it's a case of we hope maybe. There's still that loot. He's one of our own, we've always said. And listen, 435 appearances. I think this just outside the top 10 for Spurs. Our all-time top goal scorer in the Premier League. I think with 213 goals, 280 goals in total. What this guy has done for this club, the amount of moments he's had, the amount of golden boots he's had, and people might say, oh, but he's never won anything here. But what he represents and what he symbolises for us is, I've said, the greatest player we've ever produced, and I've said the greatest Spurs player we've ever had. And nothing moving forward will ever replace him. It's just a case of how do we evolve from this in reality. But listen, this ain't going to be a soft blow, if you like. It's definitely going to be a bit of blow, and even if he goes on to win it, I wish him all the best. I don't think any Spurs fan has any kind of resentment or bad feeling towards him. We wish him all the best. But
I think that's why they settled on selling him someone abroad, so that those fans don't have that.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, like when I saw that video this morning, it was almost the first time I almost welled up, bruv. I'm like, I don't get emotional over football and things like that. I was like, World Cup 2010 was the last time I almost cried over football, where I was like, and then I held it back.
Cross the line.
I was like, yo, Iron Robin, that 1v1 with Casillas, damn! When I saw that video, I was like, yo, and the thing is, you could see how heartfelt it was as well. It wasn't no like scripted, robotic. I was like, yo, this dude really cares. So listen, it's a gutting move. It's not going to be an easy one to get over. I know there's some Spurs fans who are like, yeah, we should be looking at this. I'm like, bro, let me mourn. Give me 24 hours to process this at least, bro. Like, I don't even want to think about what's next. Yeah. I'm seeing my man in a Bayern Munich doing Mia San Mia. I'm like, bro, what's all this? Auf Wiedersehen, Brautwurst. We're already talking German. Relax. I hope you get your Super Cup tonight. We'll celebrate it.
First trophy he could ever win.
It's good. It's good as well that you've sold him when you've got a new manager coming in. So the manager doesn't have that super tight relationship with him. There's not that bias in terms of.
He said that.
Let's try and find. Obviously, we're going to try and replace his goals, but it doesn't have to be a Harry Kane.
He literally said that in his video message as well. He's like, "Yo, there's a new manager coming in now. I feel like it's just the right time to let them build something themselves. I don't want to have my future talks lingering over this whole season." And as much as we would have loved a farewell tour, and we know the 30 goals he guarantees in the league, he's right. This is kind of almost like a new period, a new era, and Ange's come in now. We've got a lot of young players that have kind of got to step up or kind of really fill those holes. Cool. Now let's see what they can kind of do. And he's right. Listen, losing him on a free last summer would have been crazy, because then you're having the issue of replacing him and then also having no funds you've recouped from it. At least now
then the fans would be bitter watching him win things and stuff like that. Yeah.
I wouldn't have been surprised if he did that though, considering the Spurs board denied him his Man City move last year. For him to just say, you know what, I don't fancy Germany, I want you to get nothing type of thing. But listen, he's done us one, and slightly this to be successful.
This whole Haaland at City thing is really Daniel Levy's fault. He has brought this on us, because they could have just given him Kane. He'd have been there for 3 or 4 years, and then that was it. But now we've got to deal with this beast because of that. And I think all of us can look at players that have left, maybe not Lampard at Chelsea or like a Rooney at United. They left when they were getting a bit older, but your star man leaving in his prime, like I said to you off camera, that's Henry leaving for us. Okay, minus trophies and stuff, but that's Henry going to Barca. You all have your versions that way. It's like, you know what I mean? That's, it's so difficult, so tough, and the whole club starts to look different.
Couple more questions for Fuad that I've got here for you. Southampton now 2-1 up at home to Norwich. Got a turnaround. That is Adam Armstrong after 21 minutes scoring with a penalty. West Brom are also now 1-0 up at home to the Swans at the Hawthorns. They're all the goals for you in Championship. Now with Kane gone, have your expectations for the season changed at all?
Just slightly, to be fair. I think where I was maybe a little bit more optimistic, kind of thinking, you know what, everyone's kind of ruled us out. I've got very low expectations, but what we might do is we might just slowly build something in the background, and Ange can maybe nick a Europa League spot, maybe that 5th Champions League spot. Because one thing I always realise with the Champions League places, it's never cut and dry as it is. It's always one big chaos and almost the best of the worst qualifiers. So if we're going into the season with 1 game a week with Harry Kane there, Harry Kane always gives you a chance. I always feel like in any game, no matter what. With him gone now, I think it's just a little bit too much to do. I think now if we kind of top 7 is kind of like, for me, the best we can do, in all honesty. I think I'm looking at an 8th, 9th position this year. But what I've said this year is almost like a free hit. I think going into this year, we've got no European football, a new manager coming in. We need to build a culture, a style. It's almost like what you lot were doing a few years ago, starting a process. This has to be a new process. We've said we wanted a new manager. We got our new manager. Kane has gone now. This is a rebuild period. So
another goal at St Mary's. 2 now. And Gabriel Sara on the 23rd minute has equalised for Norwich. Is there a way, in any way, that Tottenham actually improve without Harry Kane in terms of the style? It was always going to happen one day. You might as well prepare for it now. Rangers now 2-0 up at home, by the way, to Livingston. But
this question's a little bit annoying, and I'll say this. You know why? Because the last couple of years we've had managers who've wanted to play win now football, and we've been in that situation of let's win now, let's get a trophy now, and he's been kind of almost like the shining light that's kept it going within that. Sometimes when we've had no creativity in midfield, he's been the sole creative force. Finished top assister and top goal scorer in the same season. The amount of goals he bagged for us, he was our only goal scorer at points last year. So it's a case of, if the football improves now, that's not to say, Kane was holding it back from being good. No, it's a case of now there's a new manager, it's a new style. So that's why that question kind of irks me a little bit. It's like, no, it's a whole different thing now. So of course the football's going to improve without him there, but how could it get any worse than what it was kind of the last couple of years? You know what I mean?
If you guys take that step back, how will some of the players that are like not the star like Harry Kane, but some of the fringe stars, obviously the main star now would be Son, then you've got Richarlison. How do you think they will feel with taking that step back in the 7th or 8th? Because that's not necessarily what they went to Tottenham for.
So for me, this is where I feel like Son, this is almost everything you've been waiting for. You've got your Golden Boot year. You've had your I'll be the Robin to your Batman years. Now you can take not only the armband, You can not only take the number 9 shirt, you could take the golden boot. The keys are yours essentially to lead this team.
But then for him to do all of that to finish 8th.
But here's the thing.
Number.
No, what do you mean? No. I just mean in the sense of the number 9 role.
Okay.
But then I'm looking at guys like Kulusevski, who dipped last year with injuries, with inconsistencies. You have to step up in production this year. Guys like Richarlison, where you were kind of a squad player last year, you're going to get a lot more minutes and a lot more consistency. I need to see that contribution. Also, from midfield, now we've got Maddison. I'm expecting some contribution from him as well. So it's not just going to be a one guy gets us 30 goals now. Now it has to be 12 from you, 14 from you, 15 from you, 7 from you. It has to be a collective contribution. And I think that's the one good thing with Ange coming in. He's trying to build this team kind of mentality. Even if the bombing wingbacks, I got Udogie and Porro, they're pretty much right and forward, right and left forward. So if they can get involved as well, listen, I want goals from everywhere this year. I'm not looking at kind of it's a one-team system anymore. You could have called us Harry Kane FC for the past couple of years if you like, but I think moving forward, that's definitely going to change.
Do you know what? Speaking of Son, he's just been named the new Spurs captain.
Officially.
There you go.
So,
and do you know what?
So there you go.
I personally said I wanted Romero as the captain and Bentancur as the vice captain. Purely, I feel like Romero, from a playing style wise, he sets the tempo for how the team should approach every game. And I think Bentancur, multiple league winner, Copa America winner, I'll double check that actually, but multiple league winner, leader in the team as well. I think them two would have been great.
What are the chances of
but
that,
Son,
by the way?
I just think.
How have you? Did you know that before you said that?
No, it just makes
David
no
Ornstein
sense. I mean, because to be fair, I saw Dyer had unfollowed Tottenham and removed Spurs from his bio, and he would have been one of the other candidates.
Right, so is that a reaction to that news?
Possibly.
Wow.
I think it might be, we're not going to give you the armband. In fact, we're maybe looking to let you go, I hope.
Okay.
And then the only other real
Dyer as
candidate,
captain would be a nightmare.
Everybody else has kind of come in.
I've got some more news for you. So it's Son appointed Tottenham captain, Romero and Maddison assistants. So that's the second and third.
Madison out the gate.
That's right.
This is a decision by
I said
Ange.
Romero, though. What I say?
It's like us with
Odegaard's well received by the squad. Trio seen as players and characters to bring improved spirit and progress in the new era.
The Madison one
David
surprises me, but it doesn't as well, because being an English player, I think a lot of the English players will be drawn towards him. He can kind of be a leading focal point amongst them now.
I also think Maddison's attitude as a player is a little bit up and down.
He's infectious.
But I think his attitude can be up and down with previous clubs. I think they're giving him the extra responsibility to now puff his chest up and step up. Yeah.
Listen, you're a big money signing now, London club. You've wanted this kind of step up into
you've
a bigger
pushed
team.
for it. Yeah.
Now you've kind of got that responsibility. I'm really happy Romero's in that mix as well. I've always thought, as I said, his playing style and the way he approaches game, those are the types of players I look to set tempos in the team. And
but you've got leaders now in every department of the pitch, right? You've got a
midfield striker and So
just one more question before we move on from Kane. In terms of breaking that Premier League record, we've seen memes of Alan Shearer dressed as a pilot ready to take him to Germany, getting involved in the banter. I mean, the deal is to 2027, which would make him 34, I believe. One, does he stay for that duration of the contract? And two, is it still possible that he comes back and breaks that record, or is that gone now?
I hope he stays a duration. I hope he is the kind of signing that turns Bayern Munich immediately back into Champions League contenders.
Yeah, he does.
I hope you go and get your treble. Go and do your destruction over there. Replace that Lewandowski hole. But he ain't going to be finished at 34, trust me.
No.
Harry Kane's game has never relied on pace or agility or speed. So this guy is only going to get better in his mental, his finishing. For me,
could play till 40, really.
Literally what I was going to say. He has been watching Tom Brady. He is one of his close mates. Trust me, this guy is playing till 40. And trust me, Alan Shearer, your record will be broken. I promise you.
For which team?
It does not matter. But I hope it's with Spurs. Go and get your trophies. Come back.
47 goals away, so he'd probably need two seasons to break that record.
Maybe three if he's a long.
That's older.
That's two seasons at the volume if he's playing at that same level.
That's 2 seasons starting.
If he comes back, just get your 15, 12 for about 3 or 4 seasons. Just show that level.
He's not unlimited in terms of age. Like, he does have to retire at some point.
Yeah,
so
40.
if he's 34 and then you say for 2 or 3 seasons, that takes him to around about 37, 8.
Bro, I'm seeing Giroud still playing. I'm seeing bare guys who should have retired 3 or 4 years. If you look after yourself, you can survive, trust me.
Because the injury record has improved over recent years, but there was a period with that right ankle.
Really interesting to see him come back older, maybe not as prolific, and come back in a role in his mid-30s that's not starting as a second striker, which maybe for a team further down the league, not a big six, and then he could break that record.
Calm down.
I think that would be fascinating. Then
he's going from Bayern Munich to outside the top six.
Well,
you're coming home, lad. You're coming home.
Unless it is Tottenham, which Big Six team would take on a 35,
that's the point I'm trying to make. And if Tottenham have an unbelievable striker at that point, which they probably won't.
He can hold bench.
If they did,
come home. It don't matter. Harry Kane, you will always have a seat at this table, brother. No matter who is there. Mbappe could be there. We will bench Mbappe for you.
Okay, well, Harry, if you're watching, let us know what you're going to do in about 4 years. A super chat here coming in from LDN Hoops. Phil for Caicedo having to pick NF Bridge or Clanfield, says London Hoops. What does that mean?
What does that mean? Yeah.
Nothing. Next super chat.
Right, okay. Bale and Modric's better players than Kane, says Mohammed A with the super chat.
Who's an edgy boy?
I mean, they're all no, just in general, because
even for Spurs. Not even for Spurs.
They're definitely not for Spurs, but just in general, Modric
would compete.
He wants to have that word.
Yeah,
he wants that word.
It's Kane.
All right, man. Cool, man.
Montana Prime says Kane will play until 50, best striker of all time.
But he's just not going to.
Probably he will, though. At Al Nassr. Yeah, he'll be there.
Hey, we will secure our bag one day as well, trust me.
We're currently watching Brighton Luton. How are the newly promoted team getting on here, Tom?
Luton looking really good. I think really giving Brighton a run for their money. And it's good to see. I mean, very compact, not allowing Brighton space in the final third. Probably playing as you'd expect, but I was excited to see Rob Edwards and his team in the Premier League. And Brighton perhaps not looking as sharp as last season, as maybe you'd expect, without Caicedo, without McAllister, without several players. Evan Ferguson on the bench as well. I think
João Pedro up front.
Yeah, well, João Pedro just in behind Danny Welbeck today, which surprising. You'd think João Pedro would be the man they would maybe give the responsibility of 20-goal season on, but not looking like it today.
Half an hour into that one, they're holding on so far. Brighton are obviously attacking, and they're here now with, that's offside, is it not? Pedro goes for goal, saved.
Rebound?
Just as I'm picking up Luton, Brighton start having a good spell. But
LJ Brown, AGT, did you see Lineker's tweet about Kane getting a trophy? That's also your legend, Fuad. I think he's referring to Gary Lineker as a...
Gary Lineker's always told Kane to go get his trophies.
Lineker tweeted out saying, Kane can win his first trophy after one day at Bayern. How funny would that be? Kind of, with one that kind of...
But it's true.
They've
got a Super Cup tonight.
I know.
The second Rangers goal was actually disallowed. It remains 1-0. Saad says, Tom, will you moan when Poch leaves his technical area?
Well, rules are rules, aren't they? But I guess if other coaches leave their technical area, why would I expect mine to stay within his?
Redinade says AGT thinks he's Jeff Stelling on Soccer Saturday. No, I think I'm AGT on the Saturday Football Show, actually.
Do an impersonation of Jeff.
No. Anyway, it's Simon Thomas who's on Soccer Saturday. But I think Jeff Stelling's going to TalkSport, isn't he?
He has,
The Inquisition Super Chat time. Best striker of all time. Do people's memories not go beyond 92? Alan Shearer is the fourth most prolific goal scorer if you are looking at
Here comes the Dixie Dean, Jimmy Greaves and... listen, bro, not everybody was alive when football was black and white, man. A lot of times when people talk about football discourse,
best striker of all time, that's a massive question.
But the thing is, though, it's usually when people talk about the best strikers of all time or these types of discussions, I always like to think people talk from a point of what they've seen. So for my lifetime, if that makes sense. So a lot of the times when it's people, you think they're going from 92, but that's probably when they were born. Like they can only remember football from there onwards. Like, I'm sorry, I wasn't around when Pele and Zico and Garrincha were doing up step-ups on the wings. And I'm sorry, but if I look back at some of them tapes, you don't want me critiquing some of them defenses and some of them systems, because if I get in my analytical bag now, all of a sudden, Pele going to be looking like he was playing against 4 plumbers in the World Cup semi-finals. Against who? Them Czechoslovakia defenders have to go back to work on Monday.
Before sponsorship deals,
don't let me cook. Dixie Dean hype.
You can't judge between eras. You can't judge between eras, in my opinion.
Literally. So when you say all time, I always like to say, from your opinion in your lifetime, who do you think is the best?
For me, out and out striker, it's either Ronaldo or Henry.
All the time.
R9 and Henry for me.
The reason I'd have Henry as a Premier League striker, between him and R9, I think it's a fair debate. But I just think he scores too many different types of goals, and so does Kane. Kane's definitely in that conversation, but Henry's rapid, strong, left foot, right foot. Like, has got skill, scores headers and penalties and free kicks. Like, there's not a single type of goal we don't see this guy or haven't seen this guy score.
I think
so. That's for me, of the Premier League era. He's that guy. But Kane is, for the numbers Kane puts up and his consistency. If Tottenham fans feel that way, then
Listen, for me, he's our greatest of all time. If you're talking Premier League, I would agree. Thierry Henry. I've always said that as well, even as a Spurs fan.
Yeah.
But I think if you're talking all time that I've seen in my life, I'd have two players ahead of him. I'd have Luis Suarez. I think if you look at what he's done in his career, international, Champions League, Premier League, Barcelona.
Henry won the World Cup.
No, I know, but at Uruguay with the Copa America, bro, it ain't easy. That's like Modric when he's dragging his country to semi-finals. I'm like, pound for pound is how I weigh up.
And there's been a goal, the first goal of the 3 o'clock kickoffs in the Premier League. Who has it gone to, Tom? We're hearing it's at the Amex.
It's gone to the Seagulls. Against run of play, you have to say, but Solly March has got the goal to put Brighton ahead. I can't tell you much about it because we're watching about 2 minutes behind.
Don't say that.
Well, it's our
one, isn't it? You're not supposed to say
I apologise.
Yeah, you're not supposed to bring that up. But anyway, it's Solly Marsh with the goal, 36 minutes in. And again, Luton, if they, if the floodgates open, you'd have to worry for them here at Brighton. But they were astute up until the 36th minute.
The one thing about Luton, when they're making tackles, they're such championship tackles. Like, they're absolutely solid crunching challenges. And I think I don't know if there's any yellow cards yet. I'll have to double check. But they will definitely. I'm dreading us playing them because a few of our players are going to get absolutely crunched because they are just flying into these challenges.
Yeah, just to go back to that strikers debate as well. After Suarez, above him, I think the GOAT, Ronaldo. I'm sorry, I've never seen anyone.
Out 9 though.
R9.
R9 I'm talking about.
Oh, sorry, apologies. Yeah. Sorry,
when we talk about nines, there's only one R9. A man who had the boots specifically designed for him. I'm sorry, I've never seen a better wonder kid. Up until Mbappe came round, someone who at that age was doing what he did at PSV, at Barcelona, the 98 World Cup, the redemption story of 2002. Even at Madrid, when he was looking kind of a bit heavier, he still looked world class. I've never seen, until Ronaldinho came about, there was no player that I kind of looked at and thought, wow, you are fake. Like, I actually don't believe you just did what you did there. Like, I always said, like, Zidane and Ronaldo were almost the two opposite ends of the spectrum of the wow factor, where Zidane made it look like the game too easy, where it's like, I could do what he just did, and then you go and try it and it goes over there.
That's PLO for me.
And then Ronaldo did the type of things where you're like, I can't do that. Forget that. That's not human right there, what he just did.
The only argument I'd have with Henry over Ronaldo is just that Henry scored a wider variety of goals in terms of that playing the ball through. Ronaldo running at a defender, beating the striker and scoring. He's the best at that. But in terms of, like, he didn't score. He didn't score the free kicks. He didn't score as many, like, headers. Henry has wide. He scores every possible type of goal. But R9 is.
Henry was a winger turned into a striker. That's what I always say. I agree. Yeah. So the thing is because Ronaldo's almost more of a pure 9 in a pure 9 era as well. I always feel like he focused on the box. And literally. I'm a mash, and we were actually lucky to get all the extra niceness outside that.
Say no more.
But no, don't be doing that. But no, Henry, of course, I can't lie. When you talk about variety of goals, and I think people talk about his finals record and things like that, and I'm like, as soon as someone mentions that, I'm like, your lack of ball knowledge is so visibly on display, because if you see what he was doing in the semi-finals, week in, week out, people talk about World Cup 98 and Euros, bro, he was one of the players of the tournaments. In both the tournaments.
Even in the Invincible documentary, they used to say to Arsene Wenger, people used to say, like, it's 0-0 coming up to like the 80th minute. Like, are you worried? And he goes, Henry's not scored yet. He's gonna score. Don't worry about it.
Unbelievable striker.
But anyway, this conversation started with Harry Kane, and obviously he's obviously got more to show us. But yes, it feels like the end of an era. Even though he may come back, it does feel like the end of the Harry Kane era.
The Premier League not having Harry Kane there is just going to feel weird. Period.
Maybe he's been scared.
Haaland's just going to freakishly run away with the. Like, I'm sorry, he's got no competition now.
He doesn't. He really doesn't.
Another goal in the Championship. Sheffield Wednesday, who were so close, weren't they, to getting up in the Premier League. Callum Patterson has put them 1-0 up away at Hull City, the Tigers in the Championship. Preston 1, Sunderland 1 now at Deepdale as well. Any shouts for... All right, let's do it this way, right? I'm going to ask you the question. Who is the top goal scorer and the top assister at your respective clubs this season? Because I was going to go into... Maybe we throw Salah in that goal conversation, but let's go individually through the teams. Who's getting the most goals and most assists for Arsenal this season? Again, let us know what you think in the comments to this one.
Goals... Saka. Assists between Ødegaard and Martinelli. I think Martinelli's a very, very good goal scorer. He may be my second shout for top goal scorer. Our striker situation is going to be inconsistent. Jesus is injured and Nketiah starts. Some games Havertz will start, so there won't be one person there. But Ødegaard always with the assists, and with Martinelli, teams double up on him straight away, so he tends to get quite a few assists because he struggles to... he has so many bodies around him that it's really, really tough, and he's a bit more of a fox in the box. Saka, like we saw today, will bang it from the edge of the box and take more risks and take more long distance shots. So I think Saka could be top goal scorer. Maybe Martinelli, but definitely Martinelli and Ødegaard for the assists. I think his assists are underrated as well.
Trossard at all around?
I don't think he'll get as many minutes. It's minutes. That's right, the thing. If Trossard was the dedicated starting 9, then he'd be in that conversation. Again, as a striker, he created something out of nothing. He obviously got the deflected goal that got us to penalties against City, but he just will not start, and he'll always be looking to come off the bench. And I actually quite like, because he's so versatile, I like him coming off the bench, but he just won't end up being in that conversation. He'll probably get the important cult hero goals. He'll be like our Origi maybe.
Sixth man of the year.
Yeah, exactly. Like he'll be that type of figure, but not like he's not going to be a Salah. He'll be more like an Origi.
Yeah, it did look very good today, by the way, Martinelli, with that bit of skill inside the box. Yeah. So you're going for Saka and then Ødegaard and Martinelli for the assists.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Key question for you this, because without Kane, who's putting the numbers on the board?
I think it's pretty straightforward. Son Heung-min. Yeah, it's all on one man this year pretty much. If we're talking, I said before, there's going to be multiple people that need to contribute this year, but if there's going to have to be one standout, I think it's Son Heung-min. Last season, I think we saw a dip in performances. Numbers, to be fair, weren't as bad in the end when you looked at it, but definitely looking for more consistency this year. So top scorer, I'm expecting him. I think Kulusevski is the man of the assists. Yeah, I think even last year, where it was kind of a bad year, I think he had 7 assists. So
over Maddison.
I would say even over Maddison, honestly. Really? I think Kulusevski is one of those natural creators. Every time he gets the ball, he's either willing to drive into dangerous areas or he's willing to kind of feed someone. And I think outside, inside, he's just got creativity oozing every pore, in my opinion. So I'm expecting this season, because last year was kind of a dip year for him, this is the year you've signed on permanently. Let's see you kind of kick on. So Maddison, I'm expecting him to be kind of involved in both. Definitely, but I think first season it might be a bit too much. Maybe next year.
Interesting. Okay. Let us know if you agree with that one.
What a run by Iwobi. He was running up against Willian first. If this goes in, wow. He was running up against Willian first, and then what a strike
by Leno.
It's an unbelievable run. He just tapped it down the line, sprinting, tapped it down the line past the defender. He had to run right through the technical area and go the scenic route and then carry on running. Great run.
In terms of Liverpool goals and assists, I saw Salah being asked this question and he said himself.
Of course.
I'm going to go a little bit different. I'll go... Actually, there's no point, is there? Salah and Salah. I genuinely
for assists as well.
I was going to say Darwin there for a second.
Last season.
You got 2 new attacking midfielders though, to be fair.
Yeah, but Salah is the guy that you get the ball to. Chance for Everton, it's just wide.
Couple of big chances for Everton.
But he is the guy that everyone gets the ball to, and if he isn't scoring with the last touch of the move, he's the guy that's cutting it back or putting the ball through.
Yeah.
And there's so much that just goes down that right hand side, but as we know, he's got that outside of the boot delivery as well from the left, from the right wing for someone like a Gakpo, a Jota, and Nunez to run onto.
Yeah.
So it's boring, isn't it? It is boring, but I'll go Salah and Salah.
Yeah.
Tom?
That's a shout, but just firstly, heads up to Everton. They're playing like a different team to last season, just based on 40 minutes of play. But as far as Chelsea are concerned, I mean, all goes to plan. I'm saying Nico Jackson got to be the top scorer. From what I've seen in pre-season, he's hungry. He's ready to feast on some Premier League defences. And then with regards to assists, it's difficult because I would say Nkunku, but obviously he's out till people are saying January now. So it's difficult. And I mean, it could still be Nkunku, even based on 5 months of a season. But I'm going to go maybe slightly safer. Well, I would say Mudryk, but then I'm thinking Ian Maatsen playing in the forward positions.
You say Mudryk is a safer option, not as a safe option for assists.
I think a safer option than Ian Maatsen, who most people would obviously know as a left back.
I would go probably Reece James, considering he's going to be a captain, probably play most games. I think all those forwards and wingers
doesn't get injured.
But in your own
so
words,
rotated.
Availability is the biggest ability you can have, and I hope
This
that
is
the
the year.
captaincy.
Enzo for assists?
I'm hoping. Enzo was another one I was certainly thinking about.
Because he's definitely going to start. He's going to be.
Depends on the midfield, man, because there is talk about him being the kind of more advanced midfielder, particularly if Caicedo, Lavia come in. He can be more advanced. But for me, I worry that he'd be slightly too shackled in the pivot and maybe just held back slightly. So you look, it could very easily be him. But I think we'll have to see how Poch structures his midfield before I start making assumptions on him. He'll be world class wherever he plays, but whether it shows in assists, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, well, listen, let us know who you believe will be the top goal scorer and the top assister for your club. Whoever you support in the Premier League or abroad or in the lower leagues, let us know. It'd be great to hear from you. We are approaching half-time. Still not many goals at all. Well, only one have gone in the Premier League so far, and that was Jesse Marsch's header, which is Solly Marsch's, I should say.
Has he flown over from the States?
On and scored, wouldn't
He's
it?
well out of his technical area. What's going on?
And he's about 20 years too old.
Should be a goal coming at some point for Crystal Palace, who had 67% possession against Sheffield United, 13 shots, 3 on target, just peppering the goal, but just can't seem to get it either side of the goalkeeper at the moment.
And the Everton-Fulham game, it's been fairly balanced, chances at both ends. Is that kind of what we're going to expect to see from Everton this season?
I think with Everton, safety is their main concern this season. I look at their squad and I don't see the kind of talent that could turn them back into what they really used to be, the kind of best of the rest club that they were. I think safety will be their kind of priority this year, and I think with Sean Dyche, full pre-season now under his belt as well, so you're kind of hoping that he can give them a little bit of solidity.
The difficulty they got, I know I'm an Arsenal fan, and we all hate Neil Maupay, but Sean Dyche is naturally a more defensive coach. So when they do get chances, which may be sparing, you want a real prolific striker. You want something a little bit better than Neil Maupay that the ball's falling to at the edge. You could be waiting 10, 15 minutes of build-up or defending to try and catch on the counter. And Neil Maupay's just a bit of a nothing striker in terms of he's got no discernible. He's not a finisher. He's not rapid. He's not. We saw Brennan Johnson fluff one against Arsenal, but at least he's quick.
I think when you look at squads like Everton, though, Wolves as well are another one. They're exactly the reasons why I think sometimes people ask the question: should we close the transfer window before the season starts? And I'm like, when you see games like this and you kind of see that bit of spark missing from your team, this is where you're like, we need to go back in the window. There's still 2 or 3 signings we can make, and I think there's quite a lot of teams, I'll be honest with you, in the bottom half this season, I'm not fully sold on their projects or
Chelsea being one.
Another goal to update you on, by the way. What a half it's been at St Mary's. Norwich now 3-2 up. Bang! In the first half, away at Southampton, 48 minutes gone in that one. Surely it's half-time soon, but 5 goals in the first half. That is what you want to see.
The Championship put in the Premier League. Championship put in the Premier League.
Right now, it's also half-time at Goodison Park. 0-0 between Everton and Fulham. Some really crucial saves for Bernd Leno in goal for Fulham. We're also seeing goalless at Bournemouth as well as they play West Ham, and Sheffield United, Crystal Palace is also goalless as well. Cardiff 0, QPR 1, the latest score at half-time in the Championship. Gillingham, after beating... who was it they beat again in the Cup?
They beat Southampton.
They're 1-0 up at home to Accrington Stanley. Who are they? Exactly. That was the famous advert in the 80s, I believe. The Ian Rush milk advert, I believe it was, which has been spoken about since. Birmingham 0, Leeds 0. Still at half-time. That's going to be a feisty game both on and off the pitch with both sets of fans. I'm sure that's the 3 o'clock kickoff that is 0-0 at St Andrews. Maybe a last minute chance here for Sheffield United to whip a ball into the box before half time. as Crystal Palace look to defend this one.
Jefferson Lerma giving away the free kick, who is a
Crazy
decent DM, but
foul
he looked a little bit unfortunate. And I was going to say, if he gets the yellow card there, it's going to be free kick goes straight into the keeper's hands. But yeah, he's going to pick up so many
and that is
cards because he's such a liability. Dog. He's a dark arts baller, isn't he?
He's a dog.
But it's an interesting point you make, Fuad, about the transfer window closing before the season. Because obviously they tried it till maybe mid-2010s or a few years ago. But the problem was that the European windows were all open till September. So the Prem clubs were at such a disadvantage.
Yeah.
They had to basically say, never again.
Doesn't make sense, yeah. Doesn't make sense.
And, it's certainly something to try, but if you do that, you get to a position where unless all of Europe does it, and then when Europe does it, you then get you can sell players to Saudi.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
It's an interesting debate, but I'm very glad we're pretty much in line with the big European leagues on that, if I'm honest.
Right, during the halftime break, we are going to speak about the biggest transfer sagas of all time. These guys here are ready and loaded with a few different options that I think we can go through, and then of course that will lead on to the latest on the Moises Caicedo battle, which is still rumbling on, as we know. A couple of comments coming in. Spurs, the new captain equals Son. Very happy there. I actually can't read out what name it is because it's written.
Is it Bay?
Oh yeah,
yeah. Thank you for your comment. Really appreciate it. Who's ready for when Harry met Muller? Says cool dude 11. Thomas Muller over the moon to see Harry Kane joining the team. They should do away with the transfer window. Then the crazy transfer fees would end in theory. Says Belly 81. Does that just in terms of keep it open the whole?
That's
season?
What the Prem did at the start.
No.
Remember Eric Cantona being signed by Man United in October.
Mid-season.
I remember Emil Heskey joining Liverpool in March 2000. March.
Like you just get
Yeah.
But the problem is, if you did that, all it would do is favour the top clubs because your top player gets injured. You just spend a few on a new one and ship him off when you don't need him.
There'd also be like strategic buying of players that you're not going to play just to take them away from rival teams, and then just bench them more.
It's an interesting idea, I guess. But in this day, I actually think it would make the money problem worse.
Also, clubs are much more sophisticated now. As soon as there's a new rule, there's a team of people sitting down thinking, right, how do we manipulate these rules to make something work? Whereas in the old days, the clubs were much smaller in terms of backroom staff. There wasn't so much creative financial accounting and different things like that. So
a couple of comments coming in here on that. Jez for Prez said it would be better to keep it open all year round. You just have the windows when the actual players movement can occur.
That's now.
I know.
The thing is that, again, this is where agents come in, because that's kind of what's supposed to happen. But we know that the agents are constantly, even if whatever player is at your club that is the most happy and secure and successful and doing well, their agent will be out there day to day, week to week, making phone calls and checking things just in case this happens, just in case that happens, all year round. So
but like Chelsea's deal for Nkunku was done in November.
Yeah.
So I see the point, but that's pretty much what we have now.
It's one of the ways that social media is not good. Social media is good because players can voice themselves directly and stuff like that. But the drama of just waking up in the morning and finding out, which is, I guess I've got one in mind, and we'll come to that transfer saga in a minute when we get there, but just waking up and seeing it in the paper or seeing it on the news and that a move has happened, rather than say Nkunku, where Chelsea fans knew it was happening way ahead of time.
Absolutely. Some really good comments coming in from you guys today. Make sure you carry on throughout the rest of the show. It's half time in the 3 o'clock kickoffs. Of course, we'll be giving you every goal that goes in across the leagues. It's now Hull 1, Sheffield Wednesday 1 at half time in the Championship as well. But only one goal so far in the 3 o'clock kickoffs for us. We're a little bit starved here, but not to worry. We've still got some great topics to get into, including the transfer saga one. So I'm going to chuck a couple names at you, and then obviously we'll lead into the Caicedo chat. John Obi Mikel.
Oh yeah,
I'm going straight in with him. Lifted up the Man United shirt, press conference, signature, all of that.
Slime.
Ends up at Chelsea in 2006.
2006. We did have to pay compensation to his previous club.
Sound like Chelsea.
Lynn Oslo.
It was. I'm not quite sure what it was, but it was one where I think he basically, there was a change of heart, or maybe his agent's heart changed once the dollar.
Change of heart. Do you believe that, or?
It's an interesting one, but having said that, we had just won 2 Premier League titles. Manchester United were recovering.
Was that new information, Tom? Did they not know that previously?
United won the league that season as well.
The season of, but the summer he joined, it was off the back of 2 Premier Leagues for Chelsea. I mean, there's no secret.
He joined Chelsea from United, and United win. I know Chelsea.
Did he strictly join from United? It was a very funny saga.
It was a saga that I don't think has ever been fully.
That's a great question for anyone that knows at home.
There's some legal muddle with it, and you're right. It's one where I'm not sure, unless you were directly involved in the deal. It's one of those legal web of. Another one that kind of comes to mind is, well, I guess a bit like the Arthur Pjanic swap deal, which was literally done to balance the books of the 2 clubs, but you never know quite how dodgy it was.
Andrew Green saying it was a change of salary, not change of heart.
Well, he can say that if he has any evidence.
There seems to be Chelsea involved in a lot of them. I'll go Sol Campbell to Arsenal.
That's the one I was going to say.
It's up there, surely.
Yeah,
especially
I don't want
after in the interview
me.
when he went, "Yeah, I'm staying."
But like, obviously, it's something that we see much more nowadays. That was one of the first in terms of like running the contract down, constantly saying he was going to stay, and then in the morning, just having the press conference with Arsene being like, I've got someone I want to introduce you to, and then bring Sol Campbell out with no Fabrizio Romano, no DR Sports, no sort of. But no,
we weren't there at the time.
Nothing like that. A complete surprise to just come out with, one of the best possibly the best centre back in the league from your rivals. Crazy. And then he had to get escorted out when we won the league at their ground that season.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
William, my boy. Yeah, we love that.
Yeah,
sprinted out of the Spurs medical.
Was it Willian and Etu together?
No, Luis Diaz.
Just Willian, I think.
Luis Diaz one was the biggest lie ever, man.
It was the same summer they joined.
It's the same summer. Willian and Etu both came from. They're not both come from Russia or something.
Anzim Shalaka.
But it was more the way.
Yeah, because I'm sure, wasn't it like a buddy deal? Like, I'm only going to go there if my mate can come as well.
Yeah.
Eto was a really good signing for that season. I think he scored. He was our top goal scorer. I mean, we had Fernando Torres, Demba Ba. Actually, Samuel Eto'o hat-trick against United that year. But Willian gets to Spurs, has his medical, and sprints out when he gets the call from Marina and Roman. So that was
slag.
Peter Rodden Wingy.
Classic.
Classic, iconic.
Yeah,
and on that, Saido Berahino.
That's a good one.
Oh yeah,
that is a good one as well.
The other way.
I suppose there's been other ones where
was similar as well. Actually, signing for Everton and then came to us.
Yes,
Sissoko did the same with Dan Juma in January as well.
And now look where he is.
Yeah, back at Everton now.
Where it started.
It was the Lukaku one when it was Lukaku was going to come to Chelsea and then Man United swooped in.
Yeah, but you lot took Morata instead, isn't it?
Oh, current one that's happening right now. That's not Caicedo. Kylian Mbappe to Real Madrid. Yeah. That's been rumbling on.
Yeah.
Sometime.
Neymar to PSG.
Lavia's got to be up there by default now because of he's kind of been the secondary part of this deal breaking or not breaking. Where does he fit in now?
Neymar to PSG was
massive.
The same summer, wasn't it? That they got Neymar and Mbappe.
Do you know what was one of the worst ones in my opinion? Ousmane Dembele. I'm sorry, but
now at PSG,
just been done today.
From half a season at Rennes where he broke through, because I think it was November where he made his debut. Looked good, but didn't really put down anything crazy for me. Took the next step in moving to Dortmund, where you're thinking good development club. Was only there for a year. Did little bits with Aubameyang, but then kicked up his feet to go and get this big move to Barcelona. Was it 5 years now he's been there? And this year he took the easy route out, in my opinion, in running off to PSG, where it's kind of home comfort. There's no real bright lights on there. I'm sorry. One of the worst moves ever and one of the biggest flops ever.
He had his own PSG release clause in his deal, didn't he?
Yeah.
What about this one? Carlos Tevez.
And Mascherano.
Welcome to Manchester.
Love that one.
Tevez and Mascherano.
The West Ham one, but I was talking more about Tevez from City to United.
But that debacle, I mean, that almost
United
directly
City,
sent Sheffield United down that
year.
It
did. Neil Warnock was in the mud that year.
Final press conference of that season.
I think City again copying Chelsea's blueprint. Robinho to City, and genuinely, not even this is before it was commonplace to banter City. Didn't know there was another club in Manchester.
I genuinely believe at that time he received a phone call at Real Madrid and got told there's a club in Manchester that wants you, and in his head he thought United. Arrived there and he sees Mark Hughes. Like,
I 100% believe
then he's holding up a blue kit and he's probably thinking,
this is Chelsea.
It must be the away kit.
This is Chelsea?
Oh man, I'm telling you, I genuinely think
because it wasn't commonplace at that time to just be bantering Man City. No one really cared. They were just on the ascendancy at that time.
And in his conference, he said he'd join Chelsea. He was like, I'm delighted to join Chelsea.
He did, yeah.
Unbelievable, man.
I'm glad we dodged that bullet.
Arshavin to Arsenal. That was a last-minute deadline day drama one.
We love a bit of deadline day drama, and his missus was unhappy with the tax system. It was all down to his missus, genuinely, because he's like from like oligarch Russian royalty money, so they're proper money people. So was his missus at the time, and he was getting paid a packet, but didn't understand that you had to pay tax here, unlike in Russia. So that's why he didn't stick around for too long. But yeah, it was fun while it lasted. If you want peak Jim White deadline day, the one I remember that I enjoyed was Mesut Ozil to Arsenal when they had a reporter outside the Emirates. 2013, I think.
Everyone going crazy outside the Emirates.
Was that with the sex toy in the report?
I don't think it was that.
That was a different one.
Okay.
We're more mature than that.
Stories to be had on those. I think that they
must hate going out.
I think they have to go in the stadiums now. I don't think they're allowed to do those
because of stuff like that.
That was great because I just didn't. That's when we had our drought. I can't remember who came first, Sanchez or Ozil. Ozil first. It was Ozil first. So we'd had like an 8 or 9 year trophy drought, and then we just thought, who's coming from Real Madrid is the best assister on the planet. Came, won an FA Cup, got Sanchez the following summer, and then won another FA Cup again. And then it all went from there.
Torres to Chelsea, Andy Carroll to Liverpool on the same day.
And then Chelsea played.
And Suarez to Liverpool.
Oh my God, no.
And then Chelsea
you can try to sneak the Suarez in there, but that day of Fernando Torres leaving and an Andy Carroll, Stuart Downing, Jordan Henderson, like it was
And then Chelsea played
Kenny
Liverpool.
Dalglish, the blood on your hands. It was Kenny Dalglish, wasn't it?
It was, but he did bring Suarez in as well. So potato.
I'll bring one up while Robbie's not here. Samir Nasri to Man City.
Oh, Adebayor to Man City.
I think Samir Nasri might have been worse.
Van Persie to United.
Van Persie to United.
Oh, the pain. Nick thought he was clever, but I've just absolutely ruined him there.
Yeah.
The worst transfer of all time. The worst transfer of all time for all parties is the swap deal between Mkhitaryan and Sanchez.
It's a great shout.
Everyone loses. There's not many transfer deals in the history of football where everyone both the players lost, both clubs lost. Mad. And because of the war that was happening in that region, he couldn't play in our Europa League final. Bizarre.
One of my favourite swap deals was William Gallas for Ashley Cole.
Oh my!
That was
horrendous.
That was gold.
I'm going to get emotional. Giroud to Chelsea. What are we doing? We better win a trophy this season, seriously, because what have we been doing for the last 10 years?
Then I get annoyed.
What the hell is going on?
But why have we got rid of Giroud? Giroud could have done a job for us.
He's still one of the best. Let's say one of the best, top 20 strikers in the world. Not one of the best, like top 5.
We could have kept Giroud.
Yeah.
I mean, it was nice his last game.
He's the best second striker in the world. His
last game, Champions League title, but we could have had so much more out of him. Yeah. And for 10 million or whatever we paid for him, he was absolutely outstanding.
I like the Fabinho one to Liverpool. It just came out of nowhere. And notoriously, Liverpool have just announced deals when they are ready to announce and not before. That's why this situation is so messy. Over the central defensive midfielder Caicedo. Speaking of CDMs that are dogs, watch this.
How about that to start the game?
Is that Fuad?
A challenge by
straight away, is it?
Fuad Kadani, 6'2", centre back.
Dog.
Simple.
Number 9 at right back, Chatab.
And then it's straight on him, Fuad. He does well to keep the ball.
Look at this. This is what you want to see.
Oh my word.
Oh my word. He's almost kicked his head.
Look at him stepping into midfield.
Poor touch.
Oh, heavy touch, but he's come away with that. It's lovely.
He hasn't come on the pitch, but he seems to be wearing both shirts. Fuad again, right in amongst it. He has got absolutely... Oh my word, that is absolutely... Is it?
Fuad is there.
Oh my
word!
Jesus Christ! Not for the first time, James. He might be coming off.
Yeah, and that's a foul. It's a foul as well.
I mean, is that Fuad again?
That's his second yellow, ref off!
He hasn't come on the pitch, but he seems to be wearing both shirts. Fuad again, right in amongst it. He has got absolutely... Oh my word, that is absolutely disgusting. Robbie wants the card. As usual. He's been dragged off for a little bit. Is that... Look at this. This is Tuchel versus Conte all over. Fuad with hands on the top. Surely not. I just witnessed that.
It's all got out of hand here on the top.
Unbelievable. This is not what you want to see. Fuad.
Well, I can't help but find it quite funny.
Right, how much would you be worth in today's market after that performance?
CIA, we practice dogism. Yeah. That's what we call that.
Fuad Traore,
today's market. How much would that cost?
For a ball-winning, aggressive.
Yeah, who could we compare him to?
Listen, you know what? They didn't show some of my ball playing there. I was taking all set pieces there as well. You know what I'm saying? Delivered some nice balls.
Lost the game, but
competitive.
I'll be humble. 60 million, 60 to 65 million. I think. Okay. Do you know what I do? I'd run down my
contract.
Minimum fee release clause always, no matter what club I go to. And
goal bonus.
Nah.
More red cards, the better. Because I actually counted. I commentated on that game. 3 red cards I counted for.
No.
2.5. Yeah.
No.
2
way.
reds and an orange.
I don't believe that. There was 1 yellow. That's
Were you there, Tom?
I was.
How did you rate that
man of the match performance. Listen, I said it off air about a week ago. Absolutely.
Must have been watching a different game.
They can pick me how they want me in the edits, but you know what I'm saying? Those who were there were there.
As someone who's on his team, it just gave the team the license to play. It gave us that confidence to play. We did lose. It was competitive though. It was very close.
You had a bit of a howler. Was it a header that you could have
played
scored?
for both teams?
No. I hit the post.
I know you hit the post. You had to
hit
score
the post.
there,
There was like 5 players in front of me.
Did you play for both teams, Nick?
No, they announced when I got there, they kept changing what team I was going to play for. So I actually only played for DR Sports.
You're like Caicedo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No,
what you don't understand is that, listen, lads. Back in South London, I've got like 13 siblings. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all about the siblings. Football's a short career, so do you know what I mean? But yeah, that was what a day. But no, Fuad's solid. I've seen more clips of you on Instagram playing like 7s and that. Yeah. We've got to get a 7s game going.
100%.
Listen, I don't know, as soon as the white lines get crossed this wartime, man, I don't have no friends.
Some comments on Fuad's performance that game, by the way, and there are football matches resuming now in the Premier League and all around the country. Fuad is the Roy Keane or Vinnie Jones, says Wormlet. Liverpool are looking for a DM, says Charlie.
More techers than Vinnie Jones.
Yeah.
Andy Reynoso says a great comment. He says Diego Simeone is keeping an eye on me. You see, now that's the kind of manager I would run through a brick wall for.
Right.
Yeah,
him and Jose, any club they're at, I'm signing.
You and Jimenez in the centre back.
Andrew says you are worth a packet of crisps.
Hey.
Unfortunately, not the 65 mil that you
were. Crisps and a Mars bar, sure.
Fuad with 7 counts of attempted murder, says Wormler. Fuad, one of those low-skill defenders that's got a chop. LeMayo, says Vincent N.
You see, this is what I knew how I was going to be brandished. Just Chopper Harris who can't play for, and I'm like, yo, you man, come play. Come watch next time, yeah? Grab your tickets next year.
I'll be there as well next year.
DR Sports, Don't worry about Grab your tickets and come see some real ballers ball.
Fuad Toure to Arsenal. Just needed to 2-foot Don Robbie, says Augustus. Right, there's been a goal in the Premier League, finally. And where has it gone? It's gone in the game between Bournemouth and West Ham. We're just awaiting to see who scored it. And it is that man. It's Danny Dyer's son-in-law, Jared Bowen. Starts the season excellently for the Hammers. 51 minutes now gone at the at Bournemouth's ground, and Jared Bowen puts them 1-0 up. Massive goal that.
I was going to say for West Ham playing away as well, obviously the summer's been a bit of a weird one for them. They've obviously made a couple of signings lately, but I thought Bournemouth would have
made the difference in the Conference League as well, Jared Bowen.
Oh, there's been another goal in the Premier League.
It's all kicking off.
And it's all kicking off, literally. Sheffield United and Crystal Palace. Who has the goal gone to, Fuad?
Odsonne Edouard.
We were mocking him.
1-0 up.
Love it.
Yeah.
Roy, Doubt Roy Hodgson at your peril.
Let's have a look at this West Ham goal.
First manager sacked. No way.
It's well won back. Souček plays it into Bowen, edge of the box, curls it top corner. What a goal from Jared Bowen. Celebrates with the Irons fans.
Mia.
Really good finish, that one. Excellent. And a great start to the season. Yeah, clean knee slide in with the fans. You'd love to see it. West Ham absolutely blowing bubbles down on the south coast.
Moyes needs that because he's lost Rice. They may be losing Paqueta, and he's one of the managers that from last season comes into this season, under a lot of scrutiny. Not necessarily pressure, but under a lot of scrutiny. Obviously, they won a trophy last year, but he had some shouts for him
over the league crash.
Yeah, there were shouts for him to go last season. So he needs these goals. It's a great finish.
Screamer. And Odsonne Edouard, as we just said, is confirmed now. He's put Crystal Palace 1-0 up away to newly promoted Sheffield United. A super chat here from Gabriel Michaels. Welcome back, lads. Looking forward to joining you every week. AGT equals the new Jeff. Thank you very much. Fuad played like David Batty, says Belly81. That's not a bad shout, actually, to be fair. Also, Fuad is basically DR Sports Rodri next year. Thank you, Gabriel, for two super chats there.
That's more fitting.
It's nicer.
I like that.
It's nicer.
I like that. A dog with a hammer on him as well.
Big up, Nick. Are you doing the boxing later, says Mikey B400.
I am doing the boxing later. I'm going to take a short break after this, grab some lunch, and then, I'll be covering the AJ fight later on, definitely.
Nice.
Looking forward to
lunch,
it.
Mate. 5 o'clock lunch.
I know, what are you going to do?
Early dinner.
Some good sushi.
The main Anon says someone who can't kick the ball, so they kick players. Instead, shouldn't be praised. Lol, that's not a footballer.
Referee.
Footballers come in all shapes and sizes, mate. It takes all sorts.
That's true. Nothing to update you on right now apart from what we've already given you. That is that West Ham have come out of the traps in the second half and really started well, and they're 1-0 up, as well as Crystal Palace are away at Sheffield United.
You predicted Bournemouth to win this game. There's still plenty of time.
Yeah. Honestly, that's what I was saying. I was actually quite surprised that West Ham have taken the lead. And especially even speaking to Nick the other day, he was saying, like, this season he's expecting to have kind of like a slow start because of how they've moved in there. And I was thinking this is kind of the perfect banana peel for them, but then also spruce up for Bournemouth. But listen, 1-0. Still 40 minutes to go, so see how the second half goes.
Another goal in the Championship. West Brom now 2-0 up at home to Swansea. That's a Rushworth own goal on the 50th minute. It's still 0-0 at Goodison Park. No goals between Everton and Fulham yet. And obviously there's a very big game tomorrow. We might as well get into a bit of Caicedo chat now, Tom.
Yes.
The man's had two. So we were talking about transfer sagas before. He's had 2 transfer sagas in 12 months.
Well, we had a transfer saga for him in January. The first thing I've heard through evidently the coverage I've seen across social media, that Ornstein has confirmed again today that the player does prefer a move to Chelsea over Liverpool. But I fail to see that if Brighton and Tony Bloom don't want to sell to Chelsea, I just cannot see the player turning down a move to Anfield.
They just sold you Sanchez. So.
Why would they not? Why would they not want to sell to Chelsea?
I get the impression that they could say, well, we had an auction. It ended at midnight 2 days ago. You bid 100. Liverpool bid 110. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Nothing, And it's been clear that they've wanted a kind of bid off. But
don't Chelsea also have to take some blame in the fact that you've had 2 or 3 months to sort this?
I mean, I've heard different things.
If I was Caicedo and I was hearing this on the phone every day, we're going to put a bid in, it gets to the point where there's no time left and you go, well, you had your chance, I'm going to Liverpool now.
But I think that there was the thing, I have a feeling from what people are saying, Tony Bloom was not going to sell, was not going to accept a bid until there was a bidding war and another club came in. I agree. I was of the inclination that I was most upset that Chelsea seemed to not think that 100 million represented good value, and that was their line throughout the summer. And then as soon as Liverpool come in, what happened? Bid for 100 million quid. It just shows to clubs, we will pay what you want. We will lie down for you. If you want to set a price, we might want to play hardball for a while, but we'll pay it. And then Liverpool come in with even more. And if it weren't for Caicedo basically saying, okay, I'm going to stay loyal to Chelsea because I'd agreed a contract with them at the end of May, there would be issues with, Chelsea would have really been made a fool of, because you then say, well, I have no issue with the club saying no, we don't think 100 million's a good price. I can accept that, because not every signings are, not every 100 million signing is worth it, right? What I don't like though is a club being made to look silly because they've said, okay, we don't think that it's worth 100 mil, but actually the minutes and pressures applied, what happens? 100 million quid.
But I'm curious, like, obviously both your teams kind of underachieved last season, but I still think, given where Liverpool have been with Klopp and what they've won, surely you'd think Liverpool's the more attractive proposition. I don't know what you guys would think.
I would agree. I don't see what...
I guess you guys won the Champions League a couple of years ago. Fuad is obviously everybody's opinion, but
I think when you look at, I don't know, I've seen Caicedo in a Chelsea shirt. I think Kante, he kind of models his game around. I think Kante having left this summer, you're looking at that maybe thinking, you know what, I can go in there, fill that kind of position. He was there. I think Chelsea you could say the same,
say
kind
about
of a
Fabinho.
new project. You're in London, earning tons of money. I don't see
the London thing I get.
So for me, it's a case of the Liverpool, you go there, you slot in straight away. The club culture is massive.
McAllister's there.
And McAllister's there as well, which you could say, but then you could say Enzo's there as well. Two Spanish-speaking guys. I know I've played with McAllister for the last 2 years.
Bit more of a reach than someone he's played with for that long.
Yeah, and
I think as well, obviously the FFP...
We don't know. They might have played together though, but you're not tight with every team.
No, I know, but it's just going to allow you to bed in a bit more. I don't know.
What I would say, I agree with all your points, by the way, that if I were a player, I'd probably at the moment, if I'm being totally honest and unbiased, I'd probably would say Liverpool, next couple of seasons probably have maybe a slightly more exciting chance of quick silverware. But what I would say is, from the player's perspective, Chelsea have been in contact with him. Chelsea players have been in contact with him now 3 months. Liverpool, he hears nothing from. They come in like a bull in a china shop. Suddenly, Jurgen Klopp at press conference, we've got Caicedo.
He said
how does that feel as a player? He did, but how's that going to feel as a player? Liverpool haven't shown him any kind of love, any kind of...
Well, that's the opposite way. More than you, though, because you've not bid, you've not met the bid.
But on the player's side, Chelsea have been the one in contact with the player, in the one in contact.
You've had so long to sort this.
He hadn't spoken with Klopp till 2 days ago.
This is your fault for not getting it done.
It's also identical to the Mudryk situation, where he had a relationship with us.
Let me just add this on as well. The FFP allegations have come in strong for Chelsea this week. 105 million on Enzo, 100 million on Mudryk, another 100 odd on... You say nonsense, but surely that's a massive violation.
I'm saying nonsense because Chelsea have sold considerable players this summer, and FFPs in relation to revenue over a 4 or 5 year period, we're not in any looming trouble of breaking FFP rules, whether we sign Caicedo, whether we don't sign Caicedo. I think the issue people talk about with FFP, I can understand we've spent money, but we also, in the 4 years before, have broken even, made a small profit. So I don't buy the FFP arguments. I do not see...
How can you not buy
any
them,
reason...
They're legitimate investigations lasting 20 years.
They're investigations, but those investigations are from financial reporting issues 4 or 5 years ago. They're not based on our spending in the last 2 to 3 years.
Sounded like Matt Hancock, this guy.
But away from that...
You can say that, though, but I can understand when people talk and say, Chelsea are spending too much money. You can certainly say that you think we're overpaying for a player. I completely agree with that. But, are we... To suggest we're breaking... FFP is a very specific set of rules, and I would also say we're not in Europe this season, so we're not subject to UEFA's stricter FFP rules than the Premier League rules for FFP. We're not in danger of breaking FFP. Also, people forget, yes, the loophole's now been closed, but signing someone like Mudryk on an 8.5-year deal, Enzo 8-year deal, means the amortization is, or the removing of the player's fee off the books, it's relatively small amounts per year.
But away from the FFP argument, though...
Apologies, I just get annoyed when people make that point.
So, using your logic about having built a relationship and had a deal agreed with the player and all that kind of stuff, then Mudryk should have come to Arsenal then?
Yeah, well, it's
and
a
what
good
about
point.
Tyler Adams as well? How is he feeling?
I don't like particularly how. I mean, apparently there was another reason.
He never believed it. he never believed it.
But
you're messing me around, man.
But Brighton are going to get him, and I think that's probably related to this deal. That leverage. It was to gain leverage. We can say, look, we'll hand him over to you, but you've got to stop playing these games with us. But I mean, if I'm honest, you've got a Chelsea fan here and a Liverpool fan here, but the true winner is Tony Bloom. It's not either of our two clubs. It's Tony Bloom.
Clara Blitzy in the comments. By the way, we have got a poll up. Where is the better club for Caicedo to go to? Is it Chelsea or Liverpool? Let us know. AGT, doesn't your logic apply to Liverpool's pursuit of Lavia as well? 100%.
What logic?
It does. We're not exempt from criticism in the Lavia situation where we've been speaking to him for a while and we haven't stumped up the money. We're almost as bad as each other in this situation.
Oh yeah, I agree with
Garbo
that.
Staunton super chat. Caicedo had also agreed personal terms with Arsenal in January. This proves he wants Chelsea for monetary reasons and not footballing ones. He's a mercenary and will fit in at Chelsea.
Why does that prove that though? Why? I'm genuinely asking. I don't think that a move to Chelsea wasn't on the cards for Caicedo.
Two different situations. Yeah.
So he wants a move from Brighton. Arsenal were trying to provide that. This summer, Arsenal haven't really gone.
You could make an argument it strengthens Chelsea's case because clearly since January he wanted to move to London.
And also, you talk about Liverpool have offered a bid. He's had a bid accepted from a toxic club, and he sat there saying, "No, I want to join Chelsea." So I don't see how really that proves.
Where does he end up? And when?
It's impossible. It's impossible to say. I've always had a gut feeling throughout he would join Chelsea. But boy, we've been made to pay by Liverpool coming in. Probably inflated that fee by 20 million.
Probably inflated the Lavia fee for us if we can't get Caicedo now.
Yeah, and I mean, it's going to be, you might pay 10 million more for Lavia. We're probably paying 20 to 30 million more for Caicedo. But I think there is an argument to be had, right? Is overpaying. If you overpay for a player who is going to provide you with years of good service and as a key player, maybe that's not the worst thing. Look at what Fuad, you were saying about Evan Ferguson.
You'd have to think he ends up at Chelsea because there's two clubs in the world of football, especially in the Premier League, that you don't want to get into bidding wars with, and that's Manchester City and Chelsea. They have the biggest war chest, and it's very un-Liverpool-like to get into this type of...
The only way...
Do you know what? In my history of being a Liverpool fan, I don't think, and again, if I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments or in the studio, but I can't ever think of a time where we've publicly bid for someone, got rejected and publicly outbid that team. We've never done our business like that, which when I saw it the other day, I mean, I was in the mud a little bit yesterday morning when I was reacting to it before Chelsea came back in, but I've never seen anything like it from Liverpool, dealing like that in the open with all your dirty laundry out there for everyone to see. I don't like it because now Southampton can say, give us 90.
Tapping up
You've
players.
got 110, give us 90. There's been another goal in that mad game, by the way, between Southampton and Norwich. 3-3 now. Che Adams scored the equaliser there. Preston are also 2-1 up at home to Sunderland as well.
Does it make the Rice fee not look quite as bad that we've got someone who's very Premier? Don't smirk at me for very Premier League experienced.
It's because of the Rice fee.
But that in itself is inflated.
That's why.
I just watched Arsenal fans of the last 24 hours here just trying to be like, well, Rice was pretty much a bargain, wasn't he?
Listen,
Chelsea fans coming out the order like, Enzo in January, bargain, wasn't he? No.
Enzo had 17 appearances at his last club and didn't play in Europe. That's more of a gamble. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm saying that's a gamble. Rice has been in the Premier League for a long time, has just won major European silverware. I'll have you know.
Major?
You lot make me sick.
He just won a small piece of European silverware. Just won more silverware on the weekend.
Piece.
Just won more silverware on the weekend, by the way.
Both of you.
There's no need for that.
But
no, it was actually more of him.
He's won another shield just now.
Yeah.
But no, I think genuinely Caicedo is very, very good. I wanted him in January, but he's had one season at Brighton. So 110, 120 is...
More 115, yeah.
Buffalo soldier.
A point.
Tom is a budding Prime Minister. Boris Johnson's a 100th child.
Absolutely would never want that role, my friend.
No, who does?
Oh, you know. But a point I would make on the whole Caicedo thing, and it's going to sound slightly weird.
He better not flop, that's all I know.
Well, that, but also right.
Oh, Roy Hodgson. Look at this. It's getting a bit touchy on the sideline.
Let's not take the piss here.
Wow, he was gritting his teeth. He was ready to go.
Ready to roll out the ears.
Area.
But a point
old school. Yeah,
a point on
pull up the
Caicedo.
jeans, ready.
Listen.
Point on Caicedo. The fact that Liverpool were willing to break the British.
Let's just have a quick look at this, Tom. What happens? Oh, he's hit him in the private parts, has he? I think he might have hit. Oh, he's in the belly. He's pushed,
he's pushed him out of the way.
Nah, that's a weak
Roy's
bladder
going,
as well, man.
come
You
on,
can't
Ed.
be pressing up on an old man's bladder like that. Come on, brother.
Look at him. He looked like he looked
Ready to go was Roy.
I love Roy. I think he might be. I think he might be in the wrong there.
Nah, man.
I'm 1-0. No, you can't talk. If you're 1-0 down and that ball rolled into Robbie, you'd be pushing Robbie out the way to get the ball.
Did do
Robbie
that.
would get speared.
That's exactly. That's what I'm saying. The guy's 1-0 down. He wants to play.
Get speared
Through the table.
Are we seeing this? Your boss, you're saying you're going to spear?
I didn't start. Wow. See you next year at the Claw Cup.
He's lost Harry Kane. He's got nothing to live for.
I'm on rampage
He's on the edge.
I'm on rampage on today.
Hey, you'll see him on Monday, so I look forward to you spearing Robbie through the table on Monday.
Well, you said in the game if that scenario happened.
Right, in the game. Yeah. Right, fair enough. A couple goals to update you on before we round off this Caicedo debate. West Brom are now 3-0 up at home to Swansea, which is a bit of a mad result for Swansea, to be fair. Away at West Brom, this Caicedo saga makes Tonali and Bruno G look like steals, yet Newcastle overpaid, says Sean.
Those are people who can talk with Newcastle fans. Those are, those two signings now look like, oh, you know what, those aren't that bad. Tonali,
Bruno G especially.
Bruno, how much was it?
All three of those deals. Bruno, Tonali, Rice, all of them.
How much was Bruno, though?
Don't sneak Rice in there.
Do you know why I like asking that question?
Do not sneak Rice in there.
I like asking that question because I always say this. When you're actually really good, people completely forget about your price tag, your fee.
Yeah.
Van Dijk.
Well,
Alisson.
75 we do remember. But I get what you're saying. It's forgotten, Rodri, for example, another one. Like I think about. Ruben Diaz.
70 mil.
It was, I'm sure it was 50 something.
40 mil for
but that's
Bruno
the thing,
G.
is when you're
40,
actually worth it, or not worth it, but you actually deliver, the
Everyone
fee
forgets.
is very
It's so
quickly
true.
forgotten, trust me.
It's
So
so
all
true.
of these 100 mils, 105 mils, they will only be remembered when you're a stinker. Lukaku, Kepa. Those are the ones you remember.
Pogba.
But there's a funny point to be made that I would. It's a funny one, but when Liverpool want to pay big money and they wanted to pay a British record for Caicedo, they tend to get those big deals right. You look at Alisson, you look
Andy
at Van
Carroll.
Dijk. Okay, Carroll.
I'm joking.
Carroll the exception. But
Sorry, man.
Luis Suarez, another one. That
22
wasn't
mil.
as big money, but in some ways, the fact that Liverpool were willing to outbid us and did outbid
Massive
us,
statement of intent though from
it
Liverpool.
says to me,
Whether it's good or bad, or you've shown you can't
It's
do
the-
it.
hand, man.
but it says to me,
It is what it is.
It's the same with us
massive.
for Mudryk because we
100%.
just weren't that club. We're doing it a bit more now, but we're not known for going and spending that type of money. We've lost players like Suarez over £1.
but it gives me more confidence.
You deserve that, by the way.
But it gives me
still one of the
confidence
funniest
that
10 years ago.
Caicedo is
Wow.
that guy. It gives me confidence.
The thing is, he may be that guy, yeah. But this is what I said about the Mudryk thing, like with regards to you lot, is like Mudryk would have succeeded more at our club than what he's done at your club. So
why do you say that?
Because we're a better club than you. But like I'm joking. I'm joking.
I prefer not to speak.
No,
really.
I'm joking.
Really?
I don't want to
prefer
get into
not
this.
to
I
speak.
don't want to get into this. But no,
If I speak, I'm in big trouble.
At the time, you guys were in like flux, new ownership. There was things where some players wanted to come in, some players wanted to leave. There was a lot of mess,
Goal
and we were very
in
much
the game at the Amex. Sorry to interrupt you there,
That's
Nick.
fine.
But well, who's the goal gone to, Nick? Is it an equaliser, or are Brighton pulling away now from the newly promoted Luton?
Not an equaliser. Luton was supposed to play at home their opening game, and they're having things done to their stadium to get Premier League ready. So, yeah, and their team's not Premier League ready, let alone their stadium. It's 2-0 to Brighton, 2-0 to the Seagulls, and they are not missing Caicedo at all.
João Pedro, massively talked about this fella in pre-season, came from Watford. He scores from the penalty spot on the 71st minute. So Brighton now, cruise control is on. They will look to see out the last 20 minutes at home to Luton, who I don't think have disgraced themselves.
No, not at all. And a shout out to Brighton as well. They get plenty of praise, but we'll give them more praise again because outrageous, absolutely outrageous.
Stop it, man.
But they are so. They're so good. You know, we took Trossard from them. They didn't lose a step. Chelsea took their manager. They didn't lose a step. You know, you guys are taking McAllister. They haven't lost a step, and their DM's not starting because he's definitely going somewhere. And they're still just in the flow. You know,
does there come a point though when you can't keep up that system? We saw it with Swansea. We saw it with Southampton.
But I think
Carrillo was always a signing.
But Brighton are more ambitious. I think Brighton are more ambitious than those clubs. So Brighton, they're already getting annoyed with the constant taking of their players and how they're in Europe. They will at some point stop this with the money that they've banked from these sales and go, actually, we want to run at this. Let's see where we can go in Europe. Let's say where we can go in an FA Cup.
Though.
I appreciate that. I think that they'll be more ambitious than those other clubs. Swansea were happy to sell and put the money in the bank. Southampton were happy to sell and put the money in the bank. Brighton are frustrated with the noise. They were they just said no to us in January. They didn't say 150. They just said no. We don't care how much money you put down. You're not having him. We are a project. We're running things. Go away. And as we can see, they're fine without him. Yeah. But they don't care. So I do think they're more ambitious than those other clubs.
De Zerbi did come out and say that they can take our players, but they can't take our soul. And you're right. That soul of whatever it is, that conveyor belt of talent keeps producing. It was a really nice penalty as well from João Pedro.
That's why I felt like even though we lost the player in Mudryk to Chelsea, it wasn't like we were losing to a Liverpool where they're in the flow. They had Potter at the time. Things were a little bit messy. We thought Potter might have been on his way out. Ultimately, I think he was. Ultimately he was on his way out. So I felt that we were just much more settled as a team and had much more of a structure for him to come in and do that job. As we saw by the fact that he massively underperformed when he went to Chelsea. He could have a good season coming up, but just on what we saw.
There is some news coming from David Ornstein as well. Kevin De Bruyne to undergo scan on Monday to establish severity of hamstring injury suffered at Burnley. 32-year-old international set for period on the sidelines with what Pep Guardiola described as recurrence of issue from the Champions League final.
Phil Foden, your time is now.
Yeah, he did come off very early last night, De Bruyne, which is never a good sign.
How much of a hammer blow do you think that is for City's title hopes?
Not even a little bit.
Oh my word, there's been a goal at Goodison Park, finally. Boom. But who's it gone to? Fuad.
1-0 Fulham away. Need to see who the goal scorer is, but surprise there. Everton are starting really well in the first half. You thought maybe they could sneak something, but Fulham 1-0 up, 72 minutes away from home.
Yeah, Leicester also ahead away at Huddersfield. In the life in the Championship starts for them today. Stefan Mavididi scores the goal in the 73rd minute for Leicester.
Great signing that.
What a player, yeah.
But it's Bobby Decordova-Reid who has scored that goal for Fulham away at Everton. How will the home fans react to this one? Danjuma finally coming on for Everton in place of Neil Maupay, who's failed to score once again. Gets a tap on the shoulder from Sean Dyche, but they're behind now. Massive win this could be for Fulham, and what a way to start off their season again if they win this one.
The Everton were playing quite an attacking style of football, so you want to give them credit for that, but then it's weird because
first shot on target all game for Fulham.
They've left their better. Danjuma's 3 times the striker that Neil Maupay is.
The first game though, isn't it?
Even still, I mean, like I say,
it was. And am I right in saying Demarai Gray is linked to the move away as well?
Yes, but he's been linked to move away a few times. But yeah,
he was like someone who was so key for them last year. You thought if they could kind of hold on to him, that is kind of crucial for them staying up. But
Sure, Dyche is known for playing defensive football. I do think he wants to change that narrative around himself because he seems to not really like having that narrative around himself. But as he's playing attacking football, not with his best attacking players, and so they're a bit stuck in the middle of a bit of an identity crisis, maybe. Yeah. And it seems that Everton have had an identity crisis for about 5 years.
And Willie Nonso obviously being linked with Everton as well.
Yeah.
Refused to play for Leeds today.
I don't think. Apparently, Leeds have no intention of buckling on that though, but probably does show the direction that Dyche is wanting to go in.
But yes, Everton's defence opened up there really. No one at the back stick to pick up Reed, and he scores. It's 1-0. Mitrovic on now,
he was
by
on
the way,
15 minutes
well.
ago. Yeah, him and Pereira came on, and Jimenez and Tom Kearney came off.
Right. Still, Crystal Palace 1, Sheffield United 0. 75 minutes gone in that one at Bramall Lane as well. Wigan have also equalised at home to Northampton. Charlie Hughes with the goal, but we're approaching the last 15 minutes now of all the games today. Which is the better move for Caicedo? We asked you in the poll. The poll is now complete, and it's Liverpool 53%, Chelsea 47%. 1,000 of you have voted on that one.
Surprised it's that close, if I'm honest. I'd have expected it to be much more clear for Liverpool.
Fair enough.
Caicedo can also play right back, so Trent can invert and go and step into the midfield. It's just also he had like 2 or 3 man of the match performances last year from right back. He's so good.
Yeah, I mean, we were at this Sky event last night. There was a lot of talk to. Well, no, it's nothing like that. But there was a lot of talk last night that we would know which club he was going to go to by maybe midnight last night. It's rolled on into today. 24 hours from now, literally, it's Chelsea versus Liverpool. When does this finally get sorted, boys? Because
I think
time is ticking.
Everything gets done and he gets paraded out at Stamford Bridge on Sunday.
For which team?
Really?
Chelsea. You think they're letting him parade him out playing for Liverpool in Stamford Bridge? Get me
I don't think it gets. I don't think it gets sorted by then. If I had to guess,
might be a bit too soon for.
I think
that means they have to get
Chelsea
done tonight.
It'll be an extra. It'll be an extra 5 million for
the
that.
next 24 hours. It'll be done.
For me,
I think all the kerfuffle is all sorted. And
it could go right up until scenes if he's in the stands for Liverpool
I feel
tomorrow.
Like personal terms of Chelsea are already done and agreed. It's
since the end of May.
Since
the end of May.
Personal terms already agreed. All it is going to be is essentially the medical.
I'm going to be honest. I think it'll be an extra 5 million to parade him tomorrow. I think Brighton will know.
I think Todd Boehly would pay that.
That's what we want, and I think he will want to stall it.
Yeah.
Tony Bloom don't think like that.
For 5 million more, just give it to him and be done with him. If I'm Chelsea as an
don't deal with him again.
What you need to do is you need to get this Caicedo deal over the line and then work the next 20 years into how can I make Brighton's life difficult.
How is Chelsea wangled moving on from Abramovich and finding someone so similar to Abramovich to take over? It's insane.
No, this is what Abramovich wanted, to be fair. This is why he was...
we're spending in the right areas. That's the thing. The areas we're spending on, though, at least are areas where we desperately need support and investment. Because last sort of 5 years of Roman, people forget that we basically broke even on transfers. We didn't. It wasn't like the start of
15 years of.
Granted, after 15 years of spending, but he had changed the way he ran the club the last 5 to 6 years, and it was so clear we needed. Not a budget solution in the DM role. It's, we've tried your Zakarias, we've tried bringing in Saul Niguez on loan. It doesn't work.
To be fair, a lot of those guys didn't get any minutes. So obviously they must have not looked good in training, but Zakaria got hardly any minutes.
Zakaria, first few games looked great, but then it's another one where he just got kind of
massive chance for Reed again. At the back stick, almost in the exact same position that he scored the first goal. Fulham should really be 2-0 up now away at Everton.
Much harder chance than that one.
But again, wasn't picked up at all. Garner the nearest to him.
Who is that right back?
Is it Garner?
Who?
I think it might be Garner. Number 37.
I think it's in the attacking
James
roles.
Garner,
Former United product.
Yeah. How many United players end up there? It's
absolutely sleeping.
But Dan Juma is on now for Everton. Hopefully for them that changes things. But there's been another goal at the Amex. But who's it gone to now? Nick?
It's a goal for Luton.
They're first in the Premier League.
The first goal in the Premier League for Luton
congratulations.
Town. Not everyone scored. They're already off to a better start than Derby. Carlton Morris penalty.
On the 81st minute, Luton, can they actually pull themselves back into this one?
Uncomfortable 10 minutes.
Or will Brighton see this one out now? But it reminds me a little bit of the Arsenal game that we saw earlier, to be honest, in terms of maybe sitting back, relaxing, resting on your laurels a little bit too much. But I believe it was a Lewis Dunk handball that they did go to VAR to check, and it was converted by Carlton Morris, who is Luton Town's first ever Premier League goal scorer.
That's amazing. He's made history.
Well done to him. Well done. In other news, Port Vale are now 1-0 up at home to Reading, another team that we've seen in the Premier League in years gone by. Would you say that's a penalty? It's the trailing arm.
It's one of those, yeah.
There's also been another goal at the Vitality Stadium. The goals are now flying in the Premier League. Have West Ham doubled their lead, or have the home team pegged them back? Who's going to tell me who scored?
The South Coast boys are back in
town. Bournemouth 1-1, West Ham.
First goal under Andoni Iraola.
Yes.
For Bournemouth.
West Ham kicking themselves.
Yep. That's got to be disappointing for West Ham.
Just to confirm,
I really feel like that dunk handball's very harsh, though, man.
Dominic Solanke with the goal for the Cherries.
It never is. Dominic Solanke
First game of the season, he gets
Needed
his goal to cancel out Jared Bowen's absolute screamer.
It's anyone's game now.
It's all kicking off.
Yeah,
what a 10 minutes we have for you now. Make sure that you are liking the stream. There's over 3,000 of you watching right now. This is the important part of the show, guys, where it really matters. The last 10 to 15 minutes are always very, very
where it all goes down.
Climatic in the Premier League. 2-2 now. Rotherham, Blackburn have pulled a goal back from Sammy Smodics. He's actually scored 2 for Blackburn. Could they go on to win that game now? Stay with us to find out. QPR 2-1 up away at Cardiff as well now. Massive. Cardiff failing to win on the first 2 games of the season after the draw against Leeds, but it's Dominic Solanke with the tidy finish, goes round the keeper and gets the equaliser for Bournemouth. Massive for them. Burton are now 2-0 down at home to Derby County. We mentioned them earlier for having the worst ever Premier League campaign. Conor Hourihane, the former Villa midfielder, has put them 2-0 up there away at Burton. 2 former Darren Bent teams, that one. Rangers are now 2-0 up at home to Livingston finally. They've got their second goal. They've huffed and puffed. What a last 10 minutes that we've got with them, boys.
Action-packed, man.
Bournemouth have actually been kind of dominating Liverpool. Well, dominating the ball anyway. They've had 13 shots. The West Ham have had 14 shots, but they've had 65% of the possession, which is not what you would expect for Bournemouth playing against West Ham. But there you go.
Goal for Swansea, by the way. They were 3-0 down away at West Brom. They're now 3-2 down. Nathan Wood-Gordon, with 10 minutes to go, has made this a really interesting game at the Hawthorns. Hull are now 3-1 up at home to Sheffield Wednesday as well. It's all going off, boys. Stay with us on the Saturday Football Show. There's around about 20 minutes to go here. We'll have a little bit of a review of what we've seen today, but there's 10 minutes to go of all of these games, maybe even less than that.
Only 1 goal in all the Prem
what
games.
happens. Big up my guy AGT, smashing the Blues. Tom says Nico LFCNY. Well, if they get Caicedo, I can't really say that.
You'll know tomorrow. Chelsea
we will.
or Liverpool.
24 hours. Tune in. Me and Doyle will be
Danny
on
Ings has gone to Turkey.
that stream. I think he went to Turkey. It didn't work, so he's gone back for round 2. So that's interesting. That
He needs to message Rob Holding.
Yeah.
there's a certain member of DR Sports that's actually gone to Rob Holding's man. Which I will tell you guys after. It's not a presenter, by the way. I'll just say that. Big up,
real.
Big
I know
up.
they're thinking it's me.
You got the Bakary Sanya. He used to do that as well.
Yeah.
Won't prove nothing.
Chelsea.
Brighton 3-1 up. Now at home to Luton. They're surely putting the nail in the coffin now for the Luton team that are playing in their first ever Premier League game, but it's 3-1 now, and surely listen, very spirited from Luton, this performance. You have to give them credit. They've definitely maybe gone over and beyond what people actually expected of them, but it's Simon Adingra who has scored for Brighton to now make this 3-1. Ipswich are now 2-0 up at home to Stoke. Caden Jackson scoring for them.
Who is Simon Adingra? See, because I say this every year, I'm sorry, but Brighton do this where...
With respect, who is he? You know,
with respect,
yeah,
with all due respect.
Of course, yeah.
But Brighton have this default player generator machine at the back of their club that they just press, and it gives them 2 foreign names, a random player from a random country, and he just has like just quality.
They signed him last year.
Yeah,
they signed he's Ivory Coast international.
Probably sent him on loan.
They sent him on loan to Union SG, where he got 11 goals, 36 assists.
Wow.
11 goals, 36 appearances, and then now he's back.
They did the same shit with Matoma. So this season, everybody, you've just been put on notice. Simon Adjingra, was it last year? Second half, we saw Julio and Cisco come out of nowhere. Listen, these guys are just going to keep popping. The default generator has produced another one, Simon Adjingra. Take note.
It's 21 years old.
Unbelievable.
Okay, they signed him from the Danish league.
Yeah,
New Zealand.
Nordsjælland, yeah.
They produce bare gems.
Comment here that says the TNT not do Saturday's football anymore. Says EL.
We don't need all that.
That's why you're here. You're watching this.
Right
this
here,
is
baby.
the Saturday football show on DR with myself, AGT, Fuad, Tom, and Nick in the building. There is around 5 minutes to go in the Premier League games. As we, that's poor. It's awful defending from Luton, and that was the finish by Adjingra. It's a clean finish, but again, you'd have to look at the defensive errors there and hope that that's not going to come back and force Luton back into the Championship. It's very early to say, of course.
Day one.
It is, but if they defend like that, they're going to get punished, unfortunately, even by Brighton, even by any team in the Premier League.
In fairness, we knew for Luton coming in, it was going to be their home form that was going to be the most important thing.
Yeah,
absolutely. They're starting against an away game against a top 6 side.
Talk us through the defending here, though, Nick.
But I mean, you don't play out in your box. I'm sorry, that's
it gets
basics.
Worse. It gets worse, Fuad.
But it's their principle.
It gets worse.
Overzealous diving in.
It gets worse.
Look, I'm sorry. Why are you trying to chest in your box once again? Once again, trying to play it in your 6-yard box.
That's poor.
3 or 4 mistakes there in a row, and I'm sorry. That's that level of schoolboy defending.
Away from the first touch, which was poor. In the Premier League, you don't even get time to take a touch and bring that ball down.
Bro.
You have to launch it. You've got to launch it first time. You've got to hook it. Send it for a corner. That might be better for you, especially for a Championship team that's going to be super organised, big, strong men in defence. You're much better off. Yeah, bro. Luton, Javinho, blood. But yeah, it's it's
headbands after that, bro.
Yeah, you're not going to have that type of
flow through.
I think that's the key difference when you step up a level in football is the level of time that you're just not going to have.
Yeah.
But is it a Nottingham Forest situation where Luton will try and play their attacking way they did?
Hell no.
And will have to change to a more defensive.
You know what the difference is? Nottingham Forest
hits the post. That's a strike from Evan Ferguson.
So we can hit the post.
Out of nothing.
Listen, relax. You see what's cooking there.
I'm just asking questions.
When the meal is ready, you will be hungry. I promise you. But listen,
90 mil to hit the post.
Listen,
fair enough.
Cool.
I'm just asking.
They've got Ross Barkley, my man.
Cool. Come on,
they do have Ross Barkley.
Less of that.
John Santos super chat: should Liverpool sign Redondo if Caicedo doesn't sign for Liverpool?
Developed by Shetik. How about that?
Yeah, we could do that, but again, I think the depth is an issue. It's all very well playing Stefan, which I want, by the way.
Yeah.
But it's a depth thing. If he gets injured, because he has been for the last 4 months, then where do you go from there? So you still got to go and buy someone. But Redondo, I'm not too sure.
Chuck us a couple mil, we'll loan you well, Nenny.
Turam, Kone, we don't want him.
Since we're friends.
We've got the real king
Højbjerg?
of Egypt, my friend. Don't worry about that.
Would you take Højbjerg?
No, I wouldn't take Højbjerg.
Why not?
I just think I mean, how many players have we been linked with? Get one of them.
Caicedo Højbjerg is
I don't think you're winning this argument there, mate. I think
I'm just asking. There is no argument. I'm
speaking
just
of Andy Carroll, by the way, he's missed a penalty for Reading.
He did.
Oh, he's had it saved. Also, Derby are now 3-0 up away at Burton. Connor Washington with the goal. Rangers now 3-0 up at home to Livingston. Abdallah Depot Sema with the goal for Rangers. As we approach the last couple of minutes now, all over the land when it comes to football on a Saturday. Everton still banging on that door. 88 minutes gone now. Big start was needed from Everton. And I did say on the show yesterday that they would be in a lot of games where it's a 1-0 loss, it's a 1-0 win, it's a 1-1, very tight at the back. But that chance from Reed was put away and it remains Fulham 1, Everton 0.
And Crystal Palace is still battling it away with Sheffield United.
Another goal 1-0. At St Mary's for Norwich.
Oof.
Southampton 3, Norwich 4 now, and it's Christian Fasnacht with the goal.
This is going to be one of the great opening days for a Norwich fan.
We'll have to do another one for the Championship.
But he's come from Switzerland, Christian Fasnacht. So Yeah, I think he came from Zurich, somewhere like that. Young boys, so good signing, and might just win them a big game at another big promotion contender. Yeah. So important for Norwich there. But
Jamie Dishington, what a name!
Yep, scoring for Spartans. What a name that is as well.
Yeah. Against Dumbarton.
Great names all round. The only one that lets us down is Jamie. It's a bit bland.
Promoted from Scottish non-league last season, Spartans FC.
Yeah,
so
Mitoma causing havoc here, by the way, as
he's
he did last season. He's the dribbling master.
Here is my thesis.
That's
chance again for Brighton. It's
Evan Ferguson.
Good save.
Pascal Gross. One of the most underrated player.
Great save, to be fair, from the goalie. Yep, could have been a few.
See you next Tuesday.
Yep, probably. That's the problem with FSG, though. We should have signed Gamairesh before he went to Newcastle. It says D23.
What about Mateus Nunes?
That was another name that got. We've been Liverpool so many names.
Do you know?
I don't want to hear of some kid we've never heard of.
But listen,
it was Andre Trindade last week from Fluminense.
The two players that you were linked to right at the start of the window, and the two players that I still think you should go and get now. Manu Kone, Kefren Turam. Yeah. Both of them were there. Both of them were exciting Liverpool fans.
Agreed on that.
Agreed on that. And then all of a sudden, Caicedo talks came out of nowhere and it's like, okay, Lavia, okay.
Well, Kone did get injured, I think.
Those two are... Well, I don't know too much about Kone, to be fair, but I know Kefren Turam, you get him, that is a serious talent there.
Well, he was an alternative I was looking at with... If Chelsea weren't to get Caicedo, Kefren Turam, Kone. It is interesting that the race, between Chelsea and Liverpool, similar player, has really focused on Romeo Lavia and Moises Caicedo, because Chelsea, have been looking at Lavia since January. So both these names have been on the team's radars for months now.
Chelsea spend 600 mil, but they haven't got a shirt sponsor. Says Nathman with the super.
There's one that is just needs the Premier League rubber stamp, according to what Chelsea.
Who is it?
It's an AI company called Infinite Athlete. It's like a sports AI company. If
they're just making sponsors up at this point.
Sounds a bit Man City-ish.
I was just about to say that.
I think company just to pump money into the club.
I think there was some issue potentially with there being a degree of investment from Clearlake, who are Chelsea's owners, in this company. But
it's one of those,
but look, it could have been Paramount Plus, but the Premier League were the ones to turn it down because
could have been an adult website as well.
Sky, TNT,
nasty stuff.
Could have been.
But it was
days,
there was hope
on a shirt sponsor.
Despicable.
That's a bit strong.
Kids are going to wear that.
But there was hope that the shirt sponsor would be sorted by the match tomorrow. That's not happening.
Of course there's hope that you want to start the season with a shirt sponsor.
But even in the last week or so, there was hope that they could get this infinite deal.
So what happens sorted with all the shirts that have been bought already?
There haven't been any on sale.
Oh, they're not been selling any shirts?
But I did read, I think it was possibly since this show started, that the first batch are going to be sold without sponsor on them. Which
shameless.
It excites a lot of fans, actually, because they want the shirt without.
They're going to call it limited edition, are they?
Well,
yeah,
that's what you need some more money to buy Caicedo. That's what you got to do, Nick.
Create
chance for Luton.
Oh my God, you should have finished that.
Should score
again. Luton, if they ate their dinner today, they could be drawing in this one. But again, Brighton have been impressive. Let's go to the Premier League and the Championship. Hull were now 4-1 up at home to Sheffield Wednesday. Aaron Connolly, what happened to him?
Yeah,
he smoked Tottenham one day a couple years ago, didn't he?
I was so.
Is he on loan?
I hated him on that.
They just keep loaning him out, and he can't seem to get minutes.
He's fell out big time with the club behind the scenes apparently, and basically he's on a very long deal, so it's get him out by any means necessary as soon as he comes back. But I can't remember. It was a weird story as well. I remember.
Yeah, he's on loan at Hull.
Yeah.
Loan to Middlesbrough, loan to Luton, loan to Middlesbrough, loan to Venezia. That great Venezia shirt last season. That was.
They've
swaggy.
Had some belters for the last few years.
That was a swaggy shirt.
I don't buy
into
that. Them fashion clubs that just be doing nothing but bringing out drippy kits. Get out of here, man. Like, go and do something.
But I heard a funny thing on Venezia.
No, I'm not going to win the Champions League.
To be fair, they're in the Italian second division. I don't mind that from a club.
That's what I'm saying. They should be in first division.
They're in Serie A a year ago.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm celebrating relegation.
I don't mind
No,
it.
but my parents were in Venice, and I obviously asked them to buy me a shirt. And they said no. Sold out within a day. No shirts for 6 months.
Yeah, and that's the problem,
Literally.
man. They
Man are wearing them in box part Shoreditch and
yeah,
that.
man. That's what I hate. Do you know what
Like
it is? What I hate about them kind of trendy kit shit is all of a sudden I start seeing them on every university countertop.
And there's been another goal at the Amex. The next Harry Kane, is it? It's you and Evan Ferguson, 90 plus 5 minutes.
Or maybe
not.
not.
No, it's not actually, so you can stop that celebration because it's been ruled out, actually.
Oh, dear.
But a massively late goal at St Andrews is there. And it is.
Lukas Juskovic.
Birmingham, 1-0 up at home to Leeds, penalty. And Leeds fans will be absolutely gutted. They drew the first game. It looks like they're about to lose their second game in the Championship. And Birmingham, under Tom Brady, look like they're about to win this one. Massive game. It's also full.
Been given, by the way.
And it has been given. Again, it has been given.
It's an extra 10 million.
Ferguson has been given
100
the
mil,
first
pay it.
goal of the season. 4-1 Brighton. Unbelievable performance it's turned out to be. It's also full time between Bournemouth and West Ham in the Premier League. A 1-1 draw down in the South Coast today. West Ham will be gutted for that. Bournemouth will be over the moon, of course. But Brighton absolutely showing everyone that don't forget about us. You can take all of our best players, but you cannot take our soul, as De Zerbi mentioned. And they are 4-1 up now at home. Leicester have kicked off their championship. Well, they won last week didn't they, to be fair? But now they've won 2 in a row. 1-0 away at Huddersfield in the championship. A really good start to life in the championship for the Foxes. We're just waiting for the rest of the games to finish now in the Premier League. Will Everton get a late equaliser? We don't know. Time still ticking on there, but it was Ferguson at the back stick who slides in to score Brighton's 4th goal, and that's a great result for them, isn't it?
It's interesting with the new rules we're talking about.
Full time there as well, by the way, at the Amex. Also, Bristol City. Sorry to cut you there, Nick. Bristol City, last minute winner away at Millwall. Go on then, for the first time in a while. Millwall have lost at home, and that is an absolutely gutting one to take for the Lions. But we are less than a minute away from full time at Goodison Park. Jordan Pickford swings it into the penalty area, but no one there to receive it on the Everton end, and Bernd Leno goes to ground. And Everton, it looks like they will be facing a defeat on the first day of the season by Everton. Just to confirm, Brighton 4, Luton 1. It's finished there at the Amex. All smiles all round there for Brighton, not so much for Luton. They've got a lot of work to do if they're going to stay in this league. There's going to be a lot of tough days, you'd assume, to come for them. Everton, will time run out? We're going to stay. No, it's full time at Goodison Park. Fulham win.
Finito!
As I predicted yesterday, I did say Fulham would win that 1-0.
Big result.
And I tell you what, it's another big result there for Roy Hodgson and his E-goals. They've won thanks to an Odsonne Edouard goal. Crystal Palace, big away win to start the season off, and Sheffield United have lost this one. You can see Jordan Ayew getting some congratulations. He was the assist maker today. How big is that for Roy Hodgson to start off winning in this first game? And obviously 1-0, not a massive loss there for Sheffield United either.
That's what it's going to be for Crystal Palace. Again, it's going to be lots of 1-0s, maybe 2-1s, fine margin team. And they just struggle to find some consistency because of where they sit in the table. But that's huge for them.
I think second half of last season, though, the surprising thing was he actually came in playing exciting football. You saw Eze have a little burst. Elise probably be his creative best. So
sometimes you see that with managers, like I said, he doesn't need to get sacked. He needs a sabbatical. He needs a break. He just needs a few months off.
Just a refresh.
Yeah, but on football you don't really have that. But sometimes, you just need a little bit of a break and come back fresh.
Yeah, it's a horrible result, isn't it, for Everton? First day of the season at home, they've lost to Fulham. In the comments, we've got Everton for the drop, says Vincent.
They'll be down there. They won't drop, but they will be down there. I think there are teams worse than them, but
trust in Deitch, I think, as well.
But the problem that you have is that they spend money in a really weird way, and they don't really have the players to play football the way that Deitch would normally want to play his football. So it's that identity crisis thing I keep coming back to. And I was just going to say, on the new rules that we've seen with the stoppage times, the Arsenal game 4 minutes, Bournemouth game 4 minutes, Brighton game 7. Everton 5 and Sheffield United 5, and that's 5 minutes in 2 games that are both like 1-0 with not huge amounts going on. So it's not outrageous levels of stoppage time. I think they said they reckon that the stoppage time will be roughly 10 minutes a game is what they're estimating for a standard game of football.
That's a lot still.
But that's spread across both halves. So you will be seeing 4s and 5s pretty commonly, where normally you'd expect to see 2s and 3s.
Yeah.
Brighton winning 4-1. 4 shots hit the woodwork in that game for Brighton as well, says Disco Robban. Brighton will go above Arsenal this season. Arsenal to get 7th, says Jay James, the Manchester United fan.
I'm excited. I'll be there for it.
Jim Fox.
7th in the Champions League, we'll take it.
I don't know if I do wish anymore.
Jim Fox in the chat says, bored of Everton, they do nothing every year. Well, they've started off in the worst way, a home loss. And all of the games in the Premier League are now finished. Don't forget, we won't be showing it, but at 5:30 you can watch Newcastle versus Aston Villa, which will be a great watch. To be fair, we previewed that nicely on the channel the other day, so looking forward to that. What a day that's been.
I love an opening day like this.
Opening
goals,
day.
goals.
We are back in full effect.
And Brighton are at the top of the table at the end of the day.
Sorry?
Brighton are at the top of the table.
As things stand, they are.
For now.
Actually, it might be second because they conceded, right?
There has been...
No, they're top. I'm looking at the table.
Okay,
they're top, yeah. So, yeah, they are top, yeah. Well, unless this table's wrong. Brighton, Man City, then Arsenal, then Palace.
There has been an update on Moises Caicedo from Fabrizio Romano. I say an update. I'm not sure how much it actually tells us. Chelsea working on Moises Caicedo deal right now. Understand final fee being discussed with Brighton is in excess of 110 million. Key hours ahead. Chelsea want Moises at Stamford Bridge tomorrow. Plan in their minds since last week. Any thoughts on that, AGT?
Again, working towards.
It doesn't tell us much, if I'm
they're
honest.
the key words that I would question there. Again, whatever happens, happens, but we want it to be sorted out for every party as soon as possible. But working towards a deal...
It's typical Fabrizio language, isn't it?
It is.
It doesn't say official bid made, but in excess, working towards, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But Chelsea, Fuad Kadani's army in the chat there. Chelsea are working. He just copy and pasted what Fuad has said. Big up to you.
That's why they're my army.
There you go. Right, we've spoken about a lot today. We've covered all the games for you from 3 o'clock and the Arsenal
Still not
game.
over as well. Newcastle, Aston Villa to come later as well. Not that we're covering it, but another exciting game.
Looking forward to that. Yeah. And of course, after that, if you're watching the boxing tonight, there is only one destination for you to be entertained, and that is DR Sports. Nick, who will be on the show with you?
Me, Laurie, James, and I think my boy Shane Willoughby will all be here covering the boxing. Yeah.
Good to hear. We'll look forward to that. What time will you be on from?
8:30. I think we're going to go live, catch a little bit of the undercard, but really preview the main event.
Decent undercard as well. Johnny Fisher, Campbell Hatton.
Yeah, Campbell Hatton's exciting, taking a big step up, but there's going to be lots of drama and talk about Dillian White and failed tests and all sorts of drama. The boxing it's turned into a bit of Love Island, really. It's all drama and gossip more than fighting at the moment, but there we go. We love it anyway.
And influencers as well.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, we cover that as well. But
just before we leave you, we give the lineups: Martinez, Cash, Konza, Mings, Dean, Bailey, Kamara, Douglas Luiz, McGinn, Diaby making his debut, Musa Diaby from Leverkusen, and Ollie Watkins start up front as well for Aston Villa. Look at that bench. Pau Torres, Diego Carlos, Tielemans, Coutinho. It's all kicking off.
Callum Chambers.
Nick Pope in goal. Trippier, Shah, Botman, Dan Burn, Tonali, Sandro Tonali makes his debut.
What a midfield
Joel
that
Linton.
is.
Who was the last 3 names?
Isak. I think I saw Almiron in there.
Isak, Almiron and Wilson, surely.
It's not it's Anthony Gordon.
Anthony Gordon.
Actually. What a midfield that is. That's a midfield free of like Joe Linton, Sandro and Guimaraes. This it may well be one of the games of the season.
Could well be. Let's just remind you, Arsenal 2-1 Forest. Bournemouth 1, West Ham 1, Brighton 4, 1 against Luton. Everton have lost at home to Fulham. Sheffield United have also lost at home to
Newcastle
Palace.
versus Aston Villa outside of the big 6. Everybody's kind of surprised. And Brighton, they're the 3. They're the 3 that are going to be fighting for Champions League places outside of that.
You could see a statement win. I agree with you, but it could be.
Tomorrow we'll be here for the big one, the watch along with myself, Doyle. As well, will be representing Liverpool. We're waiting to confirm the Chelsea fan, I believe, because this man will be at the game itself.
I will be.
But that's a massive one. We'll have that for you at 4 o'clock tomorrow on DR Sports. Listen, guys, Thank you so much for watching. It's been a pleasure doing the show for you, as it always is. The first show out of 38. It's going to be a long, old season. Many ups and downs, many ins and outs, and many bids, or not bids, apparently. Nick, thank you so much for coming on, bro.
No
really
problem.
appreciate it. You've seen your team win today. Fuad, thank you for your expertise, as always. Tom, you've been brilliant today. Thank you as well.
Thank you, mate.
Again, make sure you watch the boxing later tonight, and we've got the big watch along for you tomorrow. Hopefully all the Caicedo drama will be over by then, but again, I wouldn't be surprised if it isn't. I've been AGT. You've been watching the Saturday Football Show on DR Sports. Join us again next week for much more of the same. Take care. All the best.
Peace.